Chapter 276. The atmosphere of the entire Snowfish Island is clearly different today. The people of the various powers are obviously calm, and no one fights with each other. At the same time, the central manor of Snowfish Island is also decorated, and the loose practitioners of the chaotic astral ocean are all over the central manor. Let's go. Sword Immortal Hua Yin takes the lead, with Reverend Ming Liang, Reverend Ming Shan, Reverend Lan Bing, Reverend Qi Yang, and Shui Yang following behind. They directly walk towards the square courtyard where the auction will be held. At the same time, Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng and Feng Tian advance side by side. Behind them are the three elders Ao Yin, Ao Su and Yin Shan. Demon Realm emissary, Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King Mangon leads Yu Liang Kong Chao, Xing Shou and Wu Shan. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun leads Wukong Shui, Dame Lianyu, Fire Devil and Wu Hei. From their respective residences, the four groups of people all walk towards the courtyard where the auction will be held, the square courtyard. No matter if the various powers secretly flirted with each other or became angry out of humiliation, they all have smiles on their faces now. Within the square courtyard, the layout of the square courtyard is very simple. There are 4 round stone tables. These 4 round stone tables form a straight line and are also on the same side. And on the opposite side is a rectangular stone table. Beside the rectangular stone table, there are 3 chairs. And around each of the 4 round tables there are 8 chairs. And in the middle of the courtyard, there are 2 rows of people standing. All of them are members of the chaotic astral ocean. On the 3 chairs beside the rectangular stone table, there are currently 3 people sitting: Zhongju, Lanfeng, and Qinyu. Qinyu sits in the center, while Zhongju and Lanfeng sit on the left and right sides. The one hosting the auction of the Heaven Sundering diagram is Qinyu, and Qinyu naturally has to sit in the center. Brother Lanfeng, these few days, the various powers have been very chaotic, but now we have finally reached the final moment. I also don't know who will obtain this Heaven Sundering diagram. Zhongju's face has a trace of a smile. He has long since received Qinyu's guarantee that he will be given a place to enter in I Yang's realm from the chaotic astral ocean. Heaven Sundering diagram. Therefore this time, Zhongju is only watching the show, while Qinyu and Lanfeng are also watching the show. I just don't know how many top-grade elemental holy or the Heaven Sundering diagram will sell for in the end. Lanfeng smiled, then looked at Qinyu. Qinyu, take a guess. Who do you think will get the Heaven Sundering diagram this time? Mine. Sword Immortal Hua Yin leads his 5 experts and walks in from the west door. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face is full of confidence. Brother Lanfeng, since you don't want this Sundering the Heavens diagram, of course I will take it. You are a Sword Immortal, and I am also a Sword Immortal. It is natural for me to take it. As he speaks, Sword Immortal Hua Yin leads his subordinates to their seats. Everyone can talk big, but the truth is often the opposite. An indifferent yet absolutely domineering voice resounded throughout the courtyard as Mangon and his party entered from the east gate. The cold light in Mangon's purple eyes faintly swept a glance at Hua Yin, yet contained a trace of an arrogant aura. Hua Yin instead smiled and nodded towards Mangon, without any anger. The reason why this square courtyard was called Square Courtyard was because this courtyard was originally built for this auction. That was why this courtyard had a total of 4 gates, namely the East Gate, West Gate, South Gate and North Gate. Immediately, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's party and Dragon Clan Ao Feng's party entered from the South Gate and North Gate respectively, and each took a seat. 4 round tables, for groups of people sat around a round table. Naturally, each party's aura was emitted, and the 4 groups of people were not willing to be weaker than the others. Suddenly, everyone, today I want to auction this Sundering the Heavens diagram, and the one presiding over this auction is my martial nephew Qinyu. The auction process, auction requirements, and so on, everyone must listen to my martial nephew. If you are not willing to comply, you may leave. Sword Immortal Lanfeng's voice sounded, and at the same time, his gaze looked at everyone seated. Zhongju also smiled and looked at everyone. Looking at the 2 people sitting on either side of Qinyu, it was very obvious that they were supporting Qinyu. Yes, participating in this auction of the Sundering the Heavens diagram, naturally must comply with the rules. Whoever does not comply, the first will be making things difficult for me. Mangon's pair of tiger-like eyes swept a glance at the other three people, and then slightly smiled at Qinyu. Brother Qinyu, do not hesitate to carry out the auction according to your thoughts. Sword Immortal Hua Yan, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, and even the Dragon Clan's Ao Feng and Feng Tian all understood that Mangon seemed to have some special relationship with Qinyu. Qinyu smiled and stood up. Everyone, this junior has received orders from my martial uncle to preside over this auction of the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Naturally, this auction will be carried out fairly and justly. I will now simply announce the rules. This auction will use top-grade elemental holy ores as the unit of measurement. We will not accept any other treasures. In other words, whoever offers the most top-grade elemental holy ores will belong to them. Also, after the auction is successful, the top-grade elemental holy ores and the Sundering the Heavens diagram will be exchanged on the spot. If someone does not have that many top-grade elemental holy ores, but falsely reports the number, then whoever falsely reports will be surrounded and killed by everyone. Mangon coldly snorted and said, "That's right. Whoever dares to falsely report will be surrounded and killed by everyone." Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also said with a face full of murderous intent. Sword Immortal Hua Yin lightly laughed. "Words are not enough, it is better to swear. I will take the lead. If anyone falsely reports the number of top-grade elemental holy ores during the auction, they will be surrounded and killed by everyone. At the same time, their soul will scatter and never be reincarnated. Everyone, do you dare?" After he finished speaking, Hua Yan's gaze swept across everyone. "Who doesn't dare?" Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also sneered, and at the same time, also made an oath. Under the smiles of Qinyu, Lan Feng and Zhongju, the four powers all made an oath. "Very good. Since all the seniors are so sincere, then I will also show my sincerity." Qinyu waved his hand, and at the same time, a scroll appeared in front of everyone. Immediately, the eyes of the four powers lit up. Qinyu slowly unfolded the scroll. Now that Senior Blood Devil, as well as Ao Feng and Feng Tian of the Dragon Clan, have all seen the Sundering the Heavens diagram, you should also know the appearance and aura of the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Everyone can appraise it. Qinyu smiled and said to everyone, "Sundering the Heavens diagram." Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's eyes brightened. The Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng also said, "Yes, this is the Sundering the Heavens diagram. I definitely did not misjudge it." Hua Yin also looked at Reverend Ming Liang beside him. At that time, Reverend Ming Liang had once obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Naturally, he knew the aura and appearance of the Sundering the Heavens diagram. After carefully examining it, Reverend Ming Liang also nodded to Hua Yan. Hua Yan's face suddenly had a trace of a relaxed smile. "Good. Does anyone have any doubts?" Qinyu laughed and said. Everyone shook their heads, indicating that they did not have any doubts. "Let's start the auction. Don't waste time," Blood Devil Du Zhongjun said. "Good. Since everyone is impatient, then let's start the auction." Qinyu's voice became louder. The Sundering the Heavens diagram is the key to entering Inai Yang's realm. It is incomparably precious. The Sundering the Heavens diagram's base price is one top-grade elemental holy ore. Whoever offers the most top-grade elemental holy ore will obtain the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Now everyone, please make your bids. Qinyu stood and said in a loud voice. While he spoke, Qinyu's heart was actually carefully observing the four great emissaries. From the looks of it, the ones who are determined to obtain this Sundering the Heavens diagram are Mangon and Hua Yan. Qinyu could guess something by looking at the two people's gazes. However, that Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng Zong has that smiling appearance. No one knows what he is thinking in his heart. This is a variable. Qinyu made a judgment in his heart. Actually, currently, the Dragon Clan and the Blood Devils both had the Sundering the Heavens diagram. If they wanted to compete, it would be the other two sides. Of course, it was also possible that the Dragon Clan and the Blood Devils wanted to prevent others from interfering, and thus also participate in the auction to compete for the Sundering the Heavens diagram. I bid 2 top-grade elemental holy ore. The voice of the first bidder sounded. Qin Yu looked towards the source of the voice. It was precisely the blood devil Du Zhongjun. Hearing the voice of blood devil Du Zhongjun, Sword Immortal Huayan laughed. Du Zhongjun, you really dare to bid. You are not afraid of the oath just now. I bid 3 top-grade elemental holy ore. Huayan, I know that you are determined to obtain it, so I am just joining in the fun. Blood devil Du Zhongjun said with a smile. Others did not know, but Sword Immortal Huayan was very clear. If one were to say who had the least top-grade elemental holy ore, it would most likely be Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. According to Sword Immortal Huayan's guess, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun most likely did not even have 2 top-grade elemental holy ore. That was because Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's top-grade elemental holy ore had almost all landed in Sword Immortal Huayan's hands. Of course, Sword Immortal Huayan also paid a huge price. I bid 4 top-grade elemental holy ore. Mangon said with a smile. Alright Huayan, don't waste time. This auction is also a competition between you and me. How many top-grade elemental holy, or do you have? Just say it. On the stage, Qin Yu was actually secretly happy. Let's compete. Take out all the top-grade elemental holy, or you have, the more the better. In any case, I will not complain about having too many. Qin Yu looked at the competition below with a smile. The more top-grade elemental holy ore he had, the stronger his Sword Immortal puppet would be. How many top-grade elemental holy ore I have? Why should I say it? Sword Immortal Huayan lightly smiled. Sword Immortal Huayan was very smart. If he had far more top-grade elemental holy ore than Mangon, and bid too much at once, Mangon would not be able to compete. Didn't he, Huayan, give more top-grade elemental holy ore to Qin Yu for nothing? Therefore, every time he bid, Sword Immortal Huayan would only increase it by 1 top-grade elemental holy ore. 5 top-grade elemental holy ore. Huayan bid again. I bid 7 top-grade elemental holy ore. Mangon once again increased the bid, and then smiled at Huayan. Huayan, I want to see how many top-grade elemental holy ore you actually have. Huayan suddenly smiled at the Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng, and said, I heard that the Dragon Clan is rich and overbearing. I presume that Brother Ao Feng also has a lot of top-grade elemental holy ore. Why? Brother Ao Feng suddenly did not bid. Are you waiting for a surprise attack at the end? Rich and overbearing? Ha! My top-grade elemental holy ore is not as many as yours, Huayan. Ao Feng always had a smiling face. Huayan, don't waste time. Ao Feng will not participate. Mangon said indifferently. Oh, looks like the Dragon Clan's top-grade elemental holy ore is in your hands? Huayan frowned. Smart. Say it, I just bid 7 top-grade elemental holy ore. Do you have more? Mangon's eyes were filled with a blazing light, and an oppressive feeling pressed towards Huayan. On the stage, Qin Yu had been listening to everyone's bids. 7. In addition to my original 1, after the auction ends, my Sword Immortal puppet can at least display the power of a level 8 Golden Immortal. Level 8 Golden Immortal. Qin Yu felt excited just thinking about it. Only Qin Yu understood one thing. There was a limit to level 8 Golden Immortal. Once the energy of 8 top-grade elemental holy ore was used up, the Sword Immortal puppet would be a piece of scrap metal. Therefore, he needed more top-grade elemental holy ore. Top-grade elemental holy ore. Even in the Immortal Realm and Devil Realm, it is very precious. The price to use the Sword Immortal puppet is really high. Qin Yu was very distressed. However, the Sword Immortal puppet was very powerful. No matter how much it was used up, Qin Yu still had to use it. At that moment, the competition between the Primitive Demon Clan and the Loose Immortal side had already reached the final stage. 10 top-grade elemental holy ore. I don't believe you have that many left. Mangon said coldly. The 4 great emissaries, none of them asked for top-grade elemental holy ore from their backers when they descended. That was because they did not think that the mortal realm would require top-grade elemental holy ore. Even if it was to replenish power, they had their own spirit pills. These top-grade elemental holy ore were their own. A normal level 1 golden immortal probably could not even take out a single top-grade elemental holy ore. It was only because these people were the elites of their respective powers that they had a few top-grade elemental holy ore. Sword Immortal Hua Yin was startled. Haha, no more? If not, then admit defeat. Mangon laughed coldly. I bid 11 top-grade elemental holy ore. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's eyes were about to turn red. Mangon's face changed. Good. I did not expect you to have so many top-grade elemental holy ore. Sword Immortal Hua Yin thought of the 11 top-grade elemental holy ore he had and felt distressed. In order to obtain top-grade elemental holy ore from Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, he had been ruthlessly slaughtered by Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. Only then did he barely manage to gather 11 top-grade elemental holy ore. He only had a total of 11 top-grade elemental holy ore. If Mangon bid one more, he would have no hope. Good. I do not have many top-grade elemental holy ore on me. In total, I only have 12 pieces. I bid 12 top-grade elemental holy ore. If you have the ability, then bid again. Mangon's body also emitted a terrifying aura. In the end, they both felt that the other party had reached his limit. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face could not help but turn pale. 12 pieces? Just one more than him. On the stage, ever since the bid exceeded 8 top-grade elemental holy ore, Qin Yu, who had been cheerful all along, finally spoke. Currently, the Demon Realm Emissary Mangon has bid 12 top-grade elemental holy ore. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? Qin Yu looked around at the crowd. Qin Yu's attention was mostly on Sword Immortal Hua Yan's body. At the same time, he looked at Sword Immortal Hua Yan with an encouraging and expectant gaze. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face was pale, and he did not speak at all. Qin Yu understood in his heart that Hua Yan indeed did not have any more top-grade elemental holy ore. If there is no higher bid, then this Sundering the Heavens diagrams will belong to Brother Mangon. Qin Yu's voice began to rise. Wait! The Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng stood up and said with a smile. Little brother Qin Yu, please do not be anxious. The matter is not over yet. Chapter 277. Ao Feng. A swift and fierce aura directly shot towards Ao Feng like a sharp sword. Even Ao Feng's expression changed, and he immediately looked towards the source of that swift and fierce aura. Purple light lingered in his pupils, and his purple battle armor erupted with a tyrannical aura. The purple-eyed bull demon king Mangon was like a ferocious beast that chose a person to devour. He fiercely glared at Ao Feng. Ao Feng, you forgot the agreement between the two of us that day. As a person, do not go overboard. When Qin Yu saw that scene, he could not help but feel his heart tremble. When this Mangon went crazy, it was really terrifying. I naturally did not forget the agreement between the two of us. I said, I will definitely not participate in the fight for the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Since I have said it, then I will definitely do it. Ao Feng said with a faint smile. Moreover, even if I wanted to fight for it, I would also be powerless. Mangon coldly snorted. Then why did you shout slow? Ao Feng grinned. Although I do not have many top-grade elemental holy ore, I still have 3 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore on me. I have decided to sell these 3 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore. This should not offend you, Mangon. I will buy. Sword Immortal Hua Yin immediately said. Mangon had 12 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore on him, while Hua Yin only had 11 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore. If he wanted to auction for the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, Hua Yin must buy another 2 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore. Good Ao Feng. You have taken advantage of me, and now you still want to take advantage of me. You are indeed sinister enough. Mangon said with disdain in a cold voice. Ao Feng still had a smile on his face. Brother Mangon's words are wrong. I only said to sell 3 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore, and did not say to whom. Since Hua Yin can buy it, you, Brother Mangon, can naturally also buy it. I do not mind. Hua Yan's expression changed. Mangon instead sneered. Tell me, what price do I have to pay to buy these top-grade elemental holy ore? Ao Feng smiled and said, My request is also not high. one piece of top-grade elemental holy, or requires a piece of top-grade demon equipment to be exchanged. Of course, it can also be exchanged with a piece of 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talisman. Hua Yin frowned. Ao Feng, your price is a bit too high. In the immortal realm, even the most ordinary top-grade immortal equipment would be worth at least 10 top-grade elemental holy ores. Moreover, a single 100 Thunder Annihilation Talisman is worth dozens of top-grade elemental holy ores. You've multiplied it by tens of times. If you want to change, then change. If you don't, I don't care. Ao Feng smiled faintly. On the stage, Qin Yu, who was hosting the auction, smiled but didn't say anything. This Ao Feng is truly treacherous. Qin Yu secretly laughed in his heart. Looking at Mangon's appearance, most likely, he had already paid a huge price to obtain some finest grade elemental spirit stones from the Dragon Clan. Now that Ao Feng was at a critical juncture, he wanted to earn another fortune. In any case, the higher the final auction price, the better. To Qin Yu, the 100 Thunder Annihilation Talisman was nothing to him. Although the power of the 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talisman was great, with Qin Yu's power, it was unlikely that he would be able to harm these envoys. Using the Sword Immortal Puppet was still the most powerful. Alright, I'll buy it. 2 finest grade immortal equipment for 2 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. Hua Yin gritted his teeth and said, to Hua Yin, he only needed to buy 2 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. Ao Feng smiled faintly. Brother Hua Yin, it seems that you misheard something just now. I said that I want to sell 3 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. If you want to buy, then buy 3 pieces. Otherwise, I won't sell a single piece. Hua Yin was stunned. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun was slightly stunned, and then immediately laughed. Mangon only sneered. Meanwhile, Qin Yu, Zhongju, Lan Feng and the others all smiled faintly. Alright. Hua Yin gritted his teeth. Ao Feng, consider yourself formidable. I'll buy it. 2 finest grade immortal equipment in addition to 100 Thunder Annihilation Talisman for 3 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. As he spoke, 2 finest grade immortal equipment and 100 Thunder Annihilation Talisman appeared in Hua Yan's hands. Alright, I've already taken them out. Quickly give me the 3 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. Ao Feng then looked at Mangon. Brother Mangon, now it's up to you. If your items can move me even more, I can also sell them to you. At this time, Ao Feng still wanted to earn even more. Ao Feng. Hua Yin was a little angry. Mangon instead sneered. Do you take me for an idiot? I also don't want this Sundering the Heavens diagrams. In any case, Brother Du had long promised to give me his 3 quotas for the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Since I have to pay such a high price to obtain the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, it's not worth it. Hua Yin, I only have 12 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones, and will not offer any more. If you have the ability, then offer 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. You can take this Sundering the Heavens diagrams. I won't even frown. If you can't bear to part with it, then this Sundering the Heavens diagrams will belong to me. Mangon sneered at Sword Immortal Hua Yin. Sword Immortal Hua Yin gave a cold snort, and gave 2 finest grade immortal equipment and 100 Thunder Annihilation Talisman to Ao Feng. He then received 3 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones from Ao Feng. I offer 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. Sword Immortal Hua Yin said angrily. This time, in order to gather enough finest grade elemental spirit stones, Sword Immortal Hua Yin had indeed lost a lot. Not only had he been slaughtered by Blood Devil Du Zhongjun at the beginning, but now he was once again slaughtered by this Ao Feng. Qin Yu still not speaking. Sword Immortal Hua Yin looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu immediately smiled and said humbly, this junior knows. Seniors. Currently Senior Hua Yin has already offered 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. Are there any higher bids? If there are no higher bids, then this Sundering the Heavens diagrams will belong to Senior Hua Yin? Qin Yu's gaze swept across the crowd. Since seniors do not have any higher bids, then I will announce. Qin Yu spoke very slowly. as if he was waiting for some emissary to shout out a higher bid. Suddenly, Qin Yu's voice became loud. I announce that this Sundering the Heavens diagrams will be obtained by Senior Hua Yan for the high price of 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. And just at that moment, an indifferent voice rang out. Earlier, everyone had already made an oath. One hand for finest grade elemental spirit stones, the other hand for the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Now that the Sundering the Heavens diagrams are already here, where is Brother Hua Yan's finest grade elemental spirit stones? Sword Immortal Lan Fang's gaze swept toward Sword Immortal Hua Yan. Mangon, Du Zhongjun, and Ao Feng also all looked towards Hua Yan. Hua Yan laughed. Since I dared to bid this price, I naturally have it. A light flashed in Hua Yan's hand, and pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones appeared in the palm of Hua Yan's hand. A total of 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. Hua Yan directly placed 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones on Qin Yu's long table. Qin Yu smiled and received the 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones, while Hua Yan also received that Sundering the Heavens diagrams. When receiving the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, Hua Yan's first reaction was to immediately drip blood on it to claim ownership. After claiming ownership, Hua Yan very naturally knew some information about this Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Senior Hua Yan, is this Sundering the Heavens diagrams real? Qin Yu smiled and asked. Hua Yan's face revealed a satisfied smile. Since he had obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, those losses could be considered to be worth it. He was happy, but in reality, amongst the people present, Qin Yu was the happiest. 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. In addition to the one that originally used up less than half of its energy, at least temporarily, the Sword Immortal puppet does not need to worry about too much energy consumption. Qin Yu's heart thumped loudly. 13 pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones. What did that mean? It meant that Qin Yu had at least a level 9 golden immortal sword immortal in his hands. A level 9 golden immortal sword immortal. What level was that? When he received those pieces of finest grade elemental spirit stones, Qin Yu's heart was constantly in a state of excitement. Meanwhile, at that moment, the side of the loose immortals, the side of the loose devils, the side of the ancient wasteland demon clan, and the side of the dragon clan also began to chat with each other. Additionally, each of the emissaries expressed their congratulations to Sword Immortal Hua Yan. Hua Yan's face was also full of smiles. Even when facing Mangon and Ao Feng, Hua Yan was also smiling wholeheartedly. Hua Yan has obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Currently, the 3 Sundering the Heavens diagrams are more or less gathered here. From what I see, why don't we organize the maps now and directly head towards Enai Yang's realm? Mangon suddenly suggested. Mangon's voice had just left his mouth, and the previously bustling courtyard instantly quieted down. Quiet. So quiet that it was somewhat excessive. The expressions on Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, and Ao Feng's faces were all somewhat fake. In reality, the 3 of them were secretly transmitting their voices. Brother Du, could it be that you are really willing to give those 3 quotas to this Mangon? You should also know that with Mangon's power, and also his identity, I think, once the few of us great emissaries enter Enai Yang's realm, the one with the greatest possibility of obtaining those treasures is Mangon. Ao Feng transmitted his voice. At the same time, that transmission also rang out within Hua Yan's mind. At that moment, the ones who obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagrams were Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun, and Hua Yan. Very naturally, the 3 of them also did not want to allow others to enter Enai Yang's realm. Brother Du, what Brother Ao Feng said is correct. That Mangon is a super divine beast. For him to be able to descend to the mortal realm, it shows that the demon realm has made a great determination this time. Perhaps, this Mangon still has a low-grade divine equipment on him. If he enters, our hopes of obtaining the treasures will be small. Hua Yan also advised. Low-grade divine equipment was different from finest-grade immortal equipment. For finest-grade immortal equipment, most powerful profound immortals would still be able to refine them with some materials. However, low-grade divine equipment, even if it was the worst amongst divine equipment, was still not something that the experts of the immortal realm, demon realm, or devil realm could refine. That was why low-grade divine equipment were passed down from the god realm, and their numbers were all limited. Moreover, the power of divine equipment was simply beyond imagination. Compared to finest grade immortal equipment, the power of low-grade divine equipment was not just one level higher. Hua Yin, Ao Feng. Do you think I am willing? He is the one who forced me with force. Du Zhongjun was also very helpless. Oh, since that is the case, Brother Du, that man Gon is really too overbearing. Right now, he is suggesting that we immediately head towards an Yang's realm, and wants to seize the opportunity to take half of your quota to enter together. I think we should first postpone it. After we have separated, how about our 3 clans gather, and then head towards an Yang's realm? Ao Feng suggested. Good idea. Hua Yin agreed. Du Zhongjun thought for a moment and also said, in any case at that time, I only agreed verbally, and also did not swear. All right, as the 2 of you have said, we will first postpone it. After a period of time, our 3 clans will secretly gather, and then head towards an Yang's realm. Let that mad bull man Gon go crazy. Brother Du is wise. Ao Feng praised. Man Gon looked at the 3 people's expressions. What is the matter with the 3 of you? All of you are not speaking. Are you secretly discussing? Man Gon said coldly. Brother Man Gon, you are saying that we should gather the map now, and head towards an Yang's realm. Isn't this a little too rushed? Ao Feng of the Dragon Clan said. We do not have the slightest bit of preparation for this. Why don't we first return to prepare for 1 or 2 months, and then gather together to prepare to head towards an Yang's realm? That's right, let's first prepare. Do not be too anxious. Hua Yin also agreed. Man Gon frowned and said, prepare for what? What is there to prepare? Don't tell me you did not bring your treasures with you? Moreover, don't the experts under you all have them by your side? Since that is the case, what else is there to return and prepare? Du Zhongjun and Hua Yin were stunned. Who among them did not carry their treasures with them? Ao Feng smiled helplessly and said, Brother Man Gon, you do not know. When I descended to the lower realm this time, my clan's dragon emperor had once given me a treasure. This treasure is extremely beneficial to the growth and cultivation of my dragon clan. When I descended to the lower realm, I placed that treasure within the dragon clan, and let those children properly cultivate. It is currently still within the clan. The expression on Man Gon's face stiffened. All right, I hope you all do not lie to me. Otherwise, do not blame me for being ruthless. Man Gon gave a cold snort, turned around and left. Ao Feng, Hua Yin, and Du Zhongjun only glanced at each other, and immediately bid farewell to Qin Yu, Lan Feng and Zhongju. One by one, they all left the four-sided courtyard. Within the four-sided courtyard, they have all left. This time's auction for the Sundering the Heavens diagrams can be considered to have concluded perfectly. Zhongju said with a smile. Qin Yu nodded and said, Senior Zhong, we have troubled you during this period of time. You should rest first. After a while, Senior Zhong can come here to find me. We will head towards Yang's realm together. That is also good. Little brother Qin Yu, brother Lan Feng, farewell. Zhongju immediately left, and the servants in the four-sided courtyard also left. Only Qin Yu and Lan Feng remained. Lan Feng stood perfectly straight, but Qin Yu's back was facing Lan Feng, and he was looking at the nearby Snowfish Mountain. Lan Feng, these 2 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores, you can use them first. Qin Yu waved his hand, and the 2 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores flew towards Lan Feng. Lan Feng received the top-grade elemental holy ores, and with a flash of light in his hands, the 2 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores disappeared. Qin Yu clearly felt that the 9x9 origin spirit array within Lan Feng's body had 3 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores. Although it was only an increase of 2 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores, the current sword immortal Lan Feng's strength had increased by several times. He was already a level 3 golden immortal sword immortal. Lan Feng, when Reverend Ming Liang and Wukong Shui fought over the heaven-sundering diagram on the Qianlong continent. The Qin dynasty lost more than 10 million people, and the Qing clan lost more than 95% of its members. Although the Qingsu monastery and the Yinhua palace were burned down, the two instigators were still living very comfortably. Now it is time for them to swallow the bitter fruit. Qin Yu slowly said with his back facing Lan Feng. Lan Feng's eyes flashed, and the sword energy on his body became even more fierce. Chapter 278. On Snowfish Island, large groups of people soared into the sky. They were mainly divided into 4 camps. Today was the day the 4 groups of people left Snowfish Island. Since the Sundering the Heavens diagrams had already been auctioned, the 4 groups naturally would not stay here. Brother Lan Feng, farewell, Sword Immortal Hua Yin said with a smile. Behind him was a large group of loose immortals. Farewell. Lan Feng nodded with a smile. Sword Immortal Hua Yin was slightly apprehensive. What is going on with this Lan Feng? He seems to give me an even more unfathomable feeling. If the Lan Feng of the past was about the same level as Hua Yin, then the current Lan Feng already had the strength of a level 3 golden immortal. This was also the reason why Qin Yu saved the use of top-grade elemental holy ores. After all, for these experts, a level 3 golden immortal sword immortal was already enough. Brother Lan Feng, Brother Zhongju, farewell. The Dragon Clan's Ao Feng, Feng Tian, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, and the Wilderness Demon Clan's Mangon all clasped their hands. In a mighty display, the 4 groups of people flew in 2 different directions. The Loose Devils, Loose Immortals, and the Dragon Clan all flew towards the south. The Wilderness Demon Clan flew towards the direction of the ancient transfer array. Qin Yu, Kuro, Ho Fei, Lan Feng, Zhongju and the others stood in the sky, watching this group of people leave. A strong wind blew, causing Qin Yu's hair to flutter in the corner of his eyes. Qin Yu's gaze swept towards Wukong Shui and Reverend Ming Liang. At this moment, Wukong Shui and Reverend Ming Liang were separately talking to Blood Devil, Du Zhongjun and Hua Yin. The smiles on their faces appeared very humble. Slowly talk, your days are not long. Qin Yu slowly said in his mind. Little brother Qin Yu. Ah. Qin Yu woke up from his thoughts and raised his head to look. Zhongju was smiling at Qin Yu. What matter does Senior Zhong have? Qin Yu gathered his thoughts. Zhongju nodded and smiled. I have also stayed here for quite a long time. Today my people from the chaotic astral ocean are preparing to temporarily return. When are you going to head to Inai Yang's realm? Please inform me in advance. Don't worry, Senior Zhong. Before we head to Inai Yang's realm, I will definitely inform Senior in advance, Qin Yu said solemnly. Zhongju nodded his head, then turned to Sword Immortal Lan Feng and said with a smile. Brother Lan Feng, I can feel your aura. It seems that Brother Lan Feng has made a breakthrough in the past 2 days? As a super divine beast, Zhongju's sensing ability was very strong. Just a slight breakthrough. Lan Feng smiled. Lan Feng wishes Brother Zhong a safe journey. Thanks. Zhongju smiled and nodded. He then greeted Ho Fei, Kuro and the others. Following Zhongju's order, a large group of people from the chaotic astral ocean also majestically flew towards the chaotic astral ocean. Qin Yu, Ho Fei, and Kuro stood side by side in the air. Behind them were Shi Xian, Shi Zhan and Shi Bing. As for Sword Immortal Lan Feng, he had already been absorbed into Qin Yu's body. Finally they all left. Ho Fei gives a grin and looks at Qin Yu. Big brother, you've gained a lot this time, haven't you? 13 pieces of top-grade elemental holy rock. Kaka. You can trample on those arrogant fellows. I think we should first go to the Tung-Long continent and slaughter them. Kill all those who oppose us. Kill those who are not pleasing to the eye. Also kill that Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. He must have a lot of treasures on him. We can also go and kill that Immortal Realm emissary Hua Yin. Monkey is dreaming, Kuro said softly. Ho Fei, who was still daydreaming, couldn't help but be stunned. He glared at Kuro and said, Mixed hair bird, why do you always oppose me? It was originally a dream. Behind the Immortal Realm emissary and the Devil Realm emissary are the Immortal Realm and the Devil Realm's top Emperor level experts. How could they not give them some powerful life-saving treasures? Kuro finished speaking and arrogantly closed his eyes. You! Hofei glared at Kuro. Enough, Chinyu said with a smile. Stop messing around. We have serious matters to attend to. What matters? Hofei and Kuro both looked at Chinyu. Chinyu's eyes emitted killing intent. Do you still remember how the Qin dynasty's capital was destroyed? More than 90% of my Qin clan's disciples, as well as my nephew Qin Guan. How did they die? Chinyu still remembered the appearance of that nephew, who often urged him to chase after Li Er. However, now they were already separated by life and death. It seems that Reverend Ming Liang and Wukong Shui, in order to fight for the heaven-sundering diagram, killed their way from the Qin dynasty's capital all the way to the southern seas. Tens of millions of people died. Hofei said. Yes, the main culprits were these two people. In the past, I only had one piece of top-grade elemental holy ore. The energy was too little, so I only burned Qingsu Mountain and Inua Mountain. Now it's time to settle the score with them. Chinyu said coldly. Big brother, then why haven't we set off? Hofei hurriedly said. Chinyu reached out his hand to stop him. Don't worry, they just set off. With so many people moving together, their speed is not very fast. I can control Lanfeng's flying speed by a lot. So don't worry, we will set off in 3 days. Big brother, who is our first target? Kuro asked. Chinyu pondered for a moment then smiled. Xiaohei, who do you think Sword Immortal Lanfeng's killing methods resemble the most? He is a Sword Immortal. His methods are naturally Sword Immortal methods. Most similar to. Kuro's eyes brightened, then he smiled. Big brother, your first target is actually Wukong Shui. But will that blood devil Du Zhongjun believe that it was Sword Immortal Hua Yin who did it? Chinyu smiled indifferently. It doesn't matter if he believes or not. If he doesn't believe, then we have nothing to lose. If he believes, then we have profited. Big brother, Monkey and I have something to discuss with you. Kuro's face became serious. Hofei looked at Kuro, then also looked at Chinyu seriously. Chinyu knew his two brothers. Chinyu rarely had such an expression. Chinyu immediately looked at his two brothers carefully. If you have something to say it. Don't hide it. Monkey and I have already reached the Deshang stage. Kuro said quietly. Deshang stage? Chinyu was startled, then looked at Kuro and Hofei. You mean? Kuro and Hofei both nodded. After entering the Deshang stage, the energy in our bodies is rapidly changing. The speed at which the energy in Monkey and I are changing into demon elemental energy is extremely fast. I think Monkey and I are not far from ascending. Kuro was somewhat helpless. Ascending? Chinyu felt dizzy. What did you say? You said that your ascending is not far? Chinyu was somewhat unable to accept this result. Yes. Hofei and Kuro both nodded. Their expressions were somewhat complicated. The thing that the three brothers wanted the most was for the three of them to ascend together. Hofei smiled bitterly. Big brother, even if we ascend together, we will not be together when we reach the upper realm. Mixed hair bird, and I will automatically appear in the demon realm. As for the place where you will appear after ascending, I cannot guess. Chinyu had once seen some books on the second floor of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion's treasure pavilion. He still knew some of the most basic things. Those who ascend are Xiaxianists. They will ascend to the immortal realm. Those who ascend are Xiamoists. They will ascend to the demon realm. Those who ascend are Zuyoists. They will ascend to the demon realm. As for Chinyu, who is not one of the three, it is really hard to say where he will ascend to. Fei Xiaohei, is there a way to delay your ascension in your inherited memories? Chinyu asked. There is. Kuro nodded. Tell me, what is it? Chinyu was delighted and hurriedly asked. Become a holy beast. Once you become a holy beast, even if you reach the level of ascension, if your master's power is insufficient, and you cannot ascend, the holy beast will not be able to ascend, due to the restriction of the holy beast's collars on the soul. This is also the reason why the three Sure brothers have not ascended yet. Kuro gave the answer. Chinyu was immediately disappointed. Holy beasts will be restricted by their masters. If their masters do not ascend, the holy beast will also not be able to ascend. but their masters will not be restricted by the holy beast. For example, the black Qilin did not ascend, but it did not affect Qinyu at all. This is the difference between a holy beast and its master. Ah! Qinyu tried hard to squeeze out a smile. In any case, even if we ascend at the same time, we will not ascend to the same place. When your power is sufficient, you can ascend together. When I reach the immortal realm, I will definitely go to the demon realm to find you. Hou Fei and Kuro nodded. Big brother, your smile is uglier than your crying face. Alright, mixed hairy bird, and I will not ascend right away. There is still some time before we ascend. Hou Fei giggled. Qinyu could not help but smile. Ascension. This is the law of heaven and earth. Even Qinyu could not force Hou Fei and the others to not ascend. Even if they entered the Qingyu immortal mansion, it would be useless. In the law of heaven and earth, some immortal mansion restrictions would not work at all. At the same time, this also made Qinyu cherish the time he spent with the two brothers even more. As for Qinyu's ascension, even if I reach the star stage, what is the next stage? Qinyu sighed in his heart. The stellar transformations is an incomplete technique. There are only 6 stages in total: Nebula stage, Lu Xing stage, Star Core stage, Xingzhou stage, Tribulation stage, and Star stage. Even if he reaches the star stage, he will be at the peak of the mortal realm. How to take the step of ascension? What comes after the star stage? All of this needs to be created by Qinyu. If he is unable to create the next stage of the stellar transformations, Qinyu will forever be trapped in this stage. If he fails to create it, Qinyu will go crazy and his soul will scatter. Only by creating it successfully can Qinyu ascend to the immortal realm. Times a strong wind blew, his long hair fluttered. Qinyu stood on a simple and unadorned sword, flying at extreme speed. This simple and unadorned sword was dark black. Now Qinyu's flying speed is 10 times faster than when he was riding a middle-grade immortal sword. Where did this simple and unadorned sword come from? It is the sword-on-sword immortal Lan Feng's back. This sword immortal puppet's flying sword can also be used by itself. It is indeed wonderful. Qinyu had a smile on his face. After going through the last tribulation of the 9, from 9th heaven tribulation, Qinyu's body has improved. It is definitely comparable to a low-grade immortal equipment. Therefore, when Qinyu stands on this simple and unadorned sword, there is almost no obstruction. This allows the speed of the simple and unadorned sword to be displayed to its fullest. In just a few days, the Tunglong continent is in front of his eyes. This is a sacrifice for my nephews and relatives. It is also a red gift for Fei and Xiaohei. Qinyu's speed reached the limit, directly flying towards the Inua mountain range. The side of loose devils and the side of loose immortals returned much earlier than Qinyu expected, because the loose practitioners of both sides used teleportation. Using the teleportation ability, both sides naturally rushed back to the Tunglong continent within a day. On the Inua mountain range, the Blood Devil Hall has the highest status. There are also some palaces around the Blood Devil Hall, among which is Wukong Shue's residence. Wukong Shue is sitting cross-legged in a secret room. The true flame in his body is continuously refining that top-grade devil weapon Blood Moon. Even in the devil world, the top-grade devil weapon Blood Moon is a very extraordinary devil weapon. Generally, Devil Emperor level experts all use top-grade devil weapons. Therefore, Wukong Shue abandoned all other weapons and focused all of his efforts on refining Blood Moon. This is also a kind of special refining method belonging to the Blood Devil path. The smell of blood surged. The connection between Wukong Shue and Blood Moon became even closer. Suddenly, what happened? Why is Blood Moon trembling? Wukong Shue's heart trembled. Blood Moon is a very famous weapon of the Blood Devil path in the devil world. The number of people it has killed has already reached a shocking level. It even has some spirituality. Poof! An extremely strong and firm strand of sword energy easily slashes down from the sky. Like cutting tofu, it cuts the entire palace in half. Who? Several loud shouts are heard at the same time. Even Wukong Shue holds Blood Moon and soars into the sky. Wukong Shue, do you still remember that time on the Qianlong continent when you fought with Reverend Ming Liang? That time, quite a few people died. That indifferent voice resounds in Wukong Shue's mind. Wukong Shue is startled. That astonishing sword energy makes Wukong Shue's heart tremble. Wukong Shue's first reaction is, "You are Hua Yan. Did you come to take revenge for Reverend Ming Liang?" Wukong Shue never thought that someone would come to take revenge for mortals. He even thought that Hua Yan came to take revenge for Reverend Ming Liang. However, he simply cannot understand. That time, Reverend Ming Liang did not seem to have suffered any losses. Who dares to be impudent? A furious voice rises. A blood cloud soars into the sky. Poof! An extremely sharp strand of sword energy that has been condensed to the extreme passes through Wukong Shue's abdomen in a flash. Wukong Shue's eyes become lifeless. Then, he explodes into mincemeat and white bones. That top-grade devil weapon Blood Moon also naturally falls down. However, before it reaches the ground, an afterimage flashes by and grabs Blood Moon. Then that afterimage disappears with a flash. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun appears in the area where Wukong Shue was killed. He uses his devil sense to search, but does not find any aura. Sword energy, such a strong sword energy. It's a sword immortal. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun looks at that pile of mincemeat and white bones. His chest is filled with anger that cannot be vented. Chapter 279. He had killed the number 1 general under his command, right in front of his own home. Not even his corpse was left behind. Moreover, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun thinks very highly of Wukong Shue. He even plans to treat Wukong Shue as his trusted aide after returning to the Devil Realm. Therefore, he gave Wukong Shue the Blood Moon, which is extremely famous even among top-grade devil weapons. But now Wukong Shue is dead, and even the Blood Moon has been snatched away. How could Blood Demon Du Zhongjun remain calm? Lord Blood Devil, the one who killed Wukong Shue, is definitely a sword immortal. Moreover, looking at his cultivation level, there are only 2 possibilities. One is sword immortal Lan Feng, the other is sword immortal Hua Yan. Apart from these 2, there are no other sword immortals with such strength. Wu Hei's voice was tinged with anger. Fire Demon roared. It is definitely sword immortal Hua Yan. If it is not Hua Yan, then could it be sword immortal Lan Feng? That sword immortal Lan Feng does not have any grievances with us. In other words, they were on the side of the loose immortals. They've always been at odds with us. Last time, when the loose immortals and loose devils fought, the number of casualties exceeded 10,000. That Hua Yan might be here for revenge. Dame Lianyu shakes her head and says, "Fire Demon, don't be agitated. This matter is still very hard to say. Logically speaking, that Hua Yan is not that reckless. It is also possible that sword immortal Lan Feng is deliberately fanning the flames behind his back. I reckon that Hua Yan knew that we would think the same way as you. So he deliberately did the opposite." Fire Demon retorted. Dame Lianyu was startled. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun listened to his 3 generals and pondered for a moment before saying, "Let's discuss this in the Blood Devil Palace." Times the moment they stepped into the Blood Demon Great Hall, they could not help but feel a sense of oppression. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. At this moment, there were 4 people in the Blood Demon Hall. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun sat high up in the main hall. The 3 generals under his command, Dame Lianyu, Wu Hei, and Fire Devil, sat on either side of him. Originally the first person on the left was Wukong Shue, but today that seat is empty. Seeing that empty seat, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun cannot help becoming even more furious. Hua Yan Lan Feng? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun quietly pondered in his heart. Is it Hua Yan? If Hua Yan did that, what good would it do him? Could it be that he wants to get rid of the number 1 general under my command, so that I can only fight alone in Nai Yang's realm? Could it be Lan Feng? That Lan Feng doesn't seem to have any enmity with me. He is extremely mysterious and rarely appears. He also does not seem to have any enmity with Wukong Shue and the others. This time, he had even auctioned off the heaven-sundering diagram. Presumably, he did not have much ambition for Nai Yang's realm. He seems to have no motive for killing Wukong Shue. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun kept thinking, who killed Wukong Shue? Although he had used his devil sense to search earlier, he had not found the other party at all. The Blood Devil Palace was completely silent. Since Blood Devil Du Zhongjun did not say anything, Dame Lianyu and the other two naturally did not dare to say anything and disturb Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's thoughts. Suddenly, a low and furious voice resounded throughout the Blood Demon Hall. Today Wukong Shui was killed. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's eyes are bloodshot. You openly killed Wukong Shui in our headquarters beside my Blood Devil Hall. It's obvious that the other party doesn't care about us at all. We have to avenge this humiliation no matter what. In front of his subordinates, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun could only say this. Even if he didn't do anything in the future, he had to say this to reassure his subordinates. After all, if a subordinate died, the leader would not take revenge. This would be too chilling to his subordinates' hearts. Yes, this hatred must be avenged. I think the murderer is that sword immortal Hua Yan. My lord. We also know that my lord is about to enter Enai Yang's realm. Moreover, that Hua Yan's strength is very strong. Wanting to kill him would be very difficult. I think first go kill that Reverend Ming Liang. They killed the strongest subordinate of my lord. My lord, you should also kill the strongest subordinate of Hua Yan as revenge. Wu Hei is the first to speak with a sonorous voice. Kill Ming Liang? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's heart is moved. Dame Lianyu hurriedly says, My lord Blood Devil, although revenge must be avenged, we still cannot completely confirm that the murderer is sword immortal Hua Yan. We cannot go kill Reverend Ming Liang. If this matter is really Lan Feng deliberately fanning the flames, my lord, once you take action, you will really fall into Lan Feng's trap. Enough! Blood Devil waves his hand. All of you leave first. I know what to do about this matter. Yes, my lord Blood Devil. Dame Lianyu, Wu Hei, and Blood Devil all stand up and bow. Immediately after, they leave one by one. Kill Ming Liang. Blood Devil mutters in a low voice. Soon after, he chuckles and disappears from the Blood Devil Hall. On this day the sun shines brightly. Even the blood-red roof of the Blood Devil Hall emits an eye-catching light. At this moment, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun is standing at the entrance of the Blood Devil Hall, with his hands behind his back. For the entire day, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun has been thinking about the matter of Wukong Shui. With his temperament, he wants revenge, but Enai Yang's realm is more important than anything else. Therefore, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun can only forcefully suppress the anger in his heart. Moreover, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun is not certain that the murderer is sword immortal Hua Yan. Hua Yan, consider yourself lucky this time. If it wasn't for Lord Blood Devil Emperor's important matter, I would definitely kill you. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun secretly says in his heart. Practicing the Blood Devil Modeo, his murderous nature is still very strong. Suddenly, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's heart is moved. With a flip of his hand, a transmission talisman appears. Sweeping it with his devil awareness, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun says to himself, Oh, it's actually Ao Feng. Looks like this Ao Feng is also impatient. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun looks at the message in the transmission talisman, and immediately sends a message. Brother Ao Feng, I wonder what you have come to find me for? Brother Du, last time when we were at Snowfish Island, we already agreed that my dragon clan, your devil path side, and Hua Yan's immortal path side will gather. At the same time, we will gather the heaven-sundering diagram and obtain the map to Enai Yang's realm. Ao Feng sends a message. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun gives a cold humph and says in a low voice, Join forces? If that Hua Yan really did it, then that is too insincere. At the same time, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also sends a message. Brother Ao Feng, this matter should not be too rushed. Have you told this matter to Hua Yan? If it wasn't for Wukong Shui's death, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun might have been very willing to start heading to Enai Yang's realm earlier. Only now Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's heart has a grudge. I will first talk with you, then talk with Hua Yan. You see, when will the matter of our three sides gathering to obtain the map to Enai Yang's realm be carried out? Ao Feng inquires. Blood Devil thinks for a moment. Within 1 or 2 months. 1 or 2 months. Brother Du, could it be that you have something to do recently? Ao Feng is puzzled as to why this blood devil is so unhurried. What do you think I have to do? The mission of the Ascendant Realm Emissary is to enter Inai Yang's realm and seize that treasure. How could there be anything else? Then why are you so unhurried? I see that after 3 days, our 3 sides will gather together, then head to Inai Yang's realm. Ao Feng suggests, since we are also wasting time here, it is better to enter Inai Yang's realm earlier. Moreover, I feel that the longer we delay, the more that Mangon makes me feel even more uneasy. Mangon. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's heart cannot help but tremble. That Mangon is the super divine beast Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King. His strength is simply needless to say. Moreover, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun still remembers the agreement between the two of them. He had once promised to give 3 of his quotas to Mangon. However, now he wants to secretly leave first with Ao Feng and Hua Yen, without caring about Mangon. Once Mangon finds out, then the consequences will be extremely terrifying. Ao Feng. That Mangon is the super divine beast Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King. The madness of the Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King is their characteristic. Once Mangon becomes mad, then Blood Devil Du Zhongjun transmitted to Ao Feng. Ao Feng, I think we should still bring Mangon along. A mad Mangon is extremely terrifying. No matter how arrogant Blood Devil Du Zhongjun is, he does not think that he can compare to Mangon. However, Ao Feng does not mind. What are you afraid of? Once we come out from Inai Yang's realm, we will immediately return to the Ascendant Realm. At that time, when we return to the Ascendant Realm, we will have our own elders and experts to take care of us. He is only a level 1 golden immortal super divine beast. What can he do to us? Ao Feng is not worried in the slightest. Super divine beasts are powerful, but a level 1 golden immortal super divine beast does not pose much of a threat. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun ponders for a moment, and also thinks that it is reasonable. After returning to the Devil Realm, would they still be afraid of a level 1 golden immortal super divine beast? Alright, since you said 3 days later, then 3 days later. However, you should at least first agree with Hua Yen. Brother Du, then we have agreed. I will discuss with Hua Yen again. Keeping the transmission talisman into his body, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun raises his head to look at the sun in the sky, which is emitting endless heat. This planet and this great sun are really big. However, when the great sun is destroyed, how many people will be left on this planet? At the very least, the mortals will all die. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's mind is unconstrained, and instead thinks of many other things. Wandering outside the Blood Devil Hall, not long after, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun sensed that someone is transmitting a message to him. With a flip of his hand, he takes out the transmission talisman. Sweeping it with his devilish awareness, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun could not help but sneer. It is actually Hua Yen, and he still dares to transmit a message to me? Does he have a clear conscience, or is he a hypocrite? Brother Hua Yen, why did you transmit a message to me again? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun still has a trace of enmity towards this Hua Yen. However, in front of Inai Yang's realm, any enmity must be put down. No matter how great the enmity is, it cannot compare to the importance of Inai Yang's realm. All of a sudden, Hua Yen transmits a string of messages. Brother Du, just now Ao Feng also talked to you about the gathering of our 3 parties, and the matter of going to Inai Yang's realm together. You and Brother Ao Feng said that we will depart after 3 days. I also agree. However, Brother Du, there is one matter that I have just received news of. Hua Yen transmits again. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's face shows a trace of a sneer. What news? I heard that a day ago, a sword immortal suddenly appeared and killed Wukong Shui. That sword immortal's power is very strong, and even you were unable to capture him. I know that you may suspect me, but I, Hua Yen, can clearly tell you, that matter was definitely not done by me. This Hua Yen is also very clear, that if Blood Devil Du Zhongjun continues to be hostile towards him when the 3 parties are cooperating, then maybe he will frame him in Inai Yang's realm. Therefore, no matter what, he must give an explanation. Wukong Shui was killed by a sword immortal. I also suspected you, and also suspected sword immortal Lan Feng. However, until now, I do not have any evidence to confirm which one it was. Therefore, I also did not take any action. Huayan, for now please be at ease. No matter whether you killed Wukong Shui or not, I will definitely not find trouble with you. After all, Wukong Shui's death is insignificant in the face of such a major matter as in Yang's realm. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also wants to reassure the other party. Huayan is satisfied in his heart. He also expected that the other party would definitely not be so reckless. Otherwise, the Devil Realm's Blood Devil Emperor would not have sent Du Zhongjun. Since that is the case, then 3 days later, we will meet at the Dragon Clan's Eager Dragon Island. This location was determined by Ao Feng. Presumably, Ao Feng will also tell you in a while. Eager Dragon Island. Good, I understand. One Wukong Shui's death, although it is painful. However, the matter of meeting 3 days later and going to Nai Yang's realm together is extremely important. After all, that is a major matter that the Blood Devil Emperor has solemnly entrusted to him. Eager Dragon Island. 3 days later, the 3 parties will meet. Times the wind blows and the willow twigs bend. The clear lake water ripples under the gentle breeze. Qin Yu is currently at the lakeside, leaning against a willow tree and resting with his eyes closed. Qin Yu did not immediately go and kill Reverend Ming Liang after killing Wukong Shui. That is because he wanted to give Blood Devil Du Zhongjun time for revenge. However, within a day, Qin Yu did not receive any news of Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's revenge. He is slightly disappointed. It should be about time. I also don't know what Blood Devil Du Zhongjun is currently thinking. I estimate that he will most likely endure because of the matter of Nai Yang's realm. However, when Huayan discovers that Reverend Ming Liang was killed by the Blood Devil's unique energy, what will the result be? Qin Yu stands up. At that time, seizing this finest grade devil artifact was indeed a wise decision. Qin Yu flips his hand and the finest grade devil artifact appears. Blood Moon. Blood Moon is a devil artifact specially refined by the Blood Devil Modeo. After passing through the hands of who knows how many generations of Blood Devil Modeo experts, it naturally contains the unique aura and energy of the Blood Devil Modeo. A level 3 golden immortal sword immortal, even if using Blood Moon, should be able to easily kill a loose immortal who is not even a level 1 golden immortal. After a day of rest, Qin Yu finally decided to make a move on his second target, Reverend Ming Liang. Qin Yu's figure moves. Stepping on the simple and unadorned long sword, he flies towards Mount Qingsu. At that moment, Qin Yu, even Zhongju, Man Gon and the others do not know that the Immortal Realm Emissary, Devil Realm Emissary and Dragon Clan Emissary already have an agreement. In merely 3 days, the 3 parties will gather at Eager Dragon Island and head towards Nai Yang's realm. Of course, the premise is that Sword Immortal Huayan can tolerate Reverend Ming Liang being killed by the Blood Devil Modeo's unique energy. Chapter 280. Clouds and mist are drifting around the lofty Mount Qingshu. At the highest point of the mountain, the most mysterious main hall of Heavenly Palace, there is a sound of cheerful laughter at the moment. Reverend Ming Liang, Reverend Qi Shui, Reverend Ming Shan, Reverend Lan Bing, and Shui Yuyang are seated below. Meanwhile, Sword Immortal Huayan sits high up in the main hall of Heavenly Palace. The outside of the hall was isolated by a restriction, so no one in the outside world could know what was going on inside. Senior apprentice brother, look at Senior Huayan's face filled with joy. His mood must be very good. He must have summoned us for something good. Reverend Ming Shan secretly transmitted his voice to Reverend Ming Liang, who was beside him. Reverend Ming Liang looks at Sword Immortal Huayan above and nods his head in agreement. Everyone, today I have gathered everyone here to tell everyone a joyous occasion. This joyous occasion is no ordinary joyous occasion. Sword Immortal Huayan's face is full of smiles, his voice echoing throughout the main hall. Senior Huayan, please dispel our doubts. Reverend Ming Liang says with a smile. At the same time, the other 4 loose immortal experts all look at Sword Immortal Huayan with shining eyes. To be able to be described by Sword Immortal Huayan as an extraordinary happy occasion. It seems that this matter is indeed an extremely exciting matter. Hua Yin coughed, then slowly said, "Before that, let me tell you some information about the immortal realm. Otherwise, even if I tell you this joyous news, you won't be able to fully understand what the joy is. Do you know that the immortal realm, devil realm, and demon realm are actually in the same vast universe?" Hua Yin asks with a smile. The people below were startled. Only Reverend Ming Liang spoke up. "Senior Hua Yin, when Junior was practicing the stellar art, there was a jade slip that recorded some information about the immortal realm, the devil realm, and the demon realm being one entity." Hua Yin nodded. The immortal realm is located in a vast and boundless universe. The immortal realm occupies 20% of the space, the devil realm occupies nearly 20% of the space, and the demon realm occupies nearly 50% of the space. This demon realm is so huge. Reverend Ming Liang couldn't help but sigh. Hua Yin nodded and said, "Indeed, the demon realm occupies a very large area. However, the demon realm is also very chaotic. Therefore, the demon realm is not much of a threat to the immortal realm and the devil realm." What Hua Yin said was true, but in reality, it wasn't just the demon realm that had serious internal strife. The immortal realm and the devil realm were also fighting each other. Therefore, whether it was the demon realm, the immortal realm, or the devil realm, they were all very unstable internally. Therefore, the three realms were relatively stable. In the cosmic space, the immortals and devils each take 20% of the area. The demon realm takes 50%. Then what about the remaining 10%? Shui Yuyang inquires. The other loose immortals also look at Hua Yin. Clearly, they were also wondering where the remaining 10% of space had gone. "This is a secret. I cannot tell you all for the time being," Hua Yin said with a faint smile. Since Hua Yin had said so, everyone present was very tactful and did not continue to ask. The three realms are in the same space, so naturally, they interact more frequently. Among them, there were a few supreme experts who were respected by everyone in the three realms, and one of them was Immortal Emperor Enai Yang, a level 8 mystic immortal sword immortal. Hua Yin finally got to the point. Reverend Ming Liang and the others immediately focused their attention and listened carefully. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang was a genius, but at the same time, he also had good luck. Be it his weapon or his powerful sword immortal Dharma formula, the heaven-sundering sword art, they were all extremely impressive. This was also what he relied on to move unhindered in the immortal, devil and demon realms. Hua Yin's face had a trace of reverence. Every sword immortal worshipped the strongest sword immortal, Immortal Emperor Enai Yang. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang was not the kind of person who acted alone. He had his own enormous power, and similarly, he had astonishing treasures of heaven and earth. Countless top-notch treasures are hidden in his lair, Enai Yang's realm. Speaking up to hear, Hua Yin smiled and looked at everyone present. How many treasures of heaven and earth are there? Reverend Qi Yang's eyes had a blazing light. Hua Yin said with a faint smile, "How many? How would I know the actual number? At least top-grade immortal swords, top-grade battle armors, some top-grade immortal pills. The number is definitely more than 100. Moreover, there are also some unique treasures that contain some special energy. If converted to top-grade elemental holy ore, this Enai Yang's realm's value is at least 1,000,000 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore." Hua Yan's voice was incomparably firm. Those 5 loose immortals were stunned. 1,000,000 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ore? One piece was already so precious, 1,000,000 pieces. How great of a fortune would that be? Hua Yin looked at the 5 loose immortals, whose eyes involuntarily emitted a blazing light, and secretly laughed in his heart. If you knew that what I said was only the most superficial part of Enai Yang's realm's outermost periphery, I reckon you would be even more crazy. Unfortunately, the true treasures inside, you do not have the qualifications to obtain them. Once the leader of an enormous power, Hua Yin could not imagine how many treasures Immortal Emperor Enai Yang actually had. Hua Yin only knew that Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's original position was comparable to Emperor Yu's, and even slightly stronger than Emperor Yu's. Moreover, Immortal Emperor and Yang's most precious treasures were not those so-called genius treasures. Those things would not cause the big shots of the immortal devil and demon realms to be so crazy. Crazy to the point that they did not hesitate to use large amounts of power to break through the barrier between the two realms and let their own people descend. That was the true treasure. It was also the goal of every emissary. This plaything is the most precious. Just this one. Its value exceeds all the other treasures of Ni Yang's realm added together. Hua Yin still remembered Emperor Yu's promise. If he, Hua Yin, obtained that treasure and gave it to Emperor Yu, then he would definitely become one of the upper echelons of Emperor Yu's power. Alright everyone, don't be silly. Hua Yin lightly laughed. Reverend Ming Liang, Reverend Qi Yang, and the other four tried their best to control their excited emotions. When had these loose immortals of the mortal realm ever seen a top-grade elemental holy ore? Normally, being able to use a low-grade elemental holy or a middle-grade elemental holy or was already extremely incredible. The countless treasures of Ni Yang's realm had already caused these loose immortals' hearts to tremble. Mental state. Calm. In front of Ni Yang's realm, who could still calm down. Sword Immortal Hua Yin continued. Do you still remember the Sundering the Heavens diagrams? At that time, I spent countless treasures to obtain one Sundering the Heavens diagrams. There are a total of 3 Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Once these 3 Sundering the Heavens diagrams are combined, you can obtain the map to Ni Yang's realm. At the same time, one Sundering the Heavens diagrams can allow 6 people to enter Ni Yang's realm. Enter Ni Yang's realm? Bring 6 people? Reverend Ming Liang and the others' hearts began to involuntarily let their imaginations run wild. Obviously, they all believed that they were also one of those 6 people. And I am preparing to bring the 5 of you in. Don't you think this is a joyous occasion? Hua Yin said softly. Reverend Ming Liang and the other 4's eyes immediately brightened. Hua Yin simply did not allow the 5 of them to express their gratitude and continued to say, I have also said that once we enter Ni Yang's realm, there will be endless treasures inside. Whatever you obtain will belong to you, and I will not forcefully take it away. However, there is one point. After entering Ni Yang's realm, I will let you take the treasures. If there is anyone who does not listen to my instructions and dies, do not blame me. Hua Yan's goal this time was only that one treasure. Top-grade immortal equipment, immortal pills and powerful treasures of heaven and earth. These, to people of Emperor Yu's level, did not have much attraction. What I said just now, whether or not you can do it. If you cannot, there are many people who want to enter Ni Yang's realm. Hua Yin said coldly. Reverend Ming Liang, Reverend Qi Yang, and the other 4 immediately stood up. Reverend Ming Liang took the lead and said respectfully, Senior, do not worry. We will definitely do it. These 5 people all understood that in a place like Ni Yang's realm, treasures were not that easy to obtain. Following the immortal realm emissary would naturally avoid dangers. If they acted on their own accord, they would most likely lose their lives. Very good. You all should rest first. After 2 days, we will depart. Hua Yin announced. 2 days. The 5 people below were shocked. They did not expect that it would come so quickly. However, immediately, the 5 people's faces were filled with joy as they respectfully said, Yes. Times. Hey Senior, Reverend Ming Liang, and the others seem to be very happy today. The 5 great reverends have been drinking and celebrating together for half a day. A thin and weak cultivator hugging a wine jar said to another tall cultivator, hugging a wine jar beside him. Lower your voice. The reverends are very powerful. If they hear us and anger them, our lives will be over. That senior hurriedly reminded. The thin and weak junior immediately woke up and nodded repeatedly. Senior is right. They were only ordinary cultivators who had been summoned by a group of loose immortals from various sects to serve the loose immortal seniors. To these Jin Dan and Yuanying stage cultivators, that group of loose immortals were all high and mighty. Not to mention the 5 great reverends, the strongest of the loose immortals. Reverend Ming Liang, Reverend Qi Yang, Reverend Lan Bing, Reverend Ming Shan, and Shui Yang. If the 5 great reverends were slightly dissatisfied, those ordinary cultivators could have their cultivation crippled and be expelled from their sections. Everyone, this trip to Inai Yang's realm is a major event. Although it is said to be dangerous, wanting to obtain the treasures is also dangerous. How can there be such a good thing in this world? For it to be our turn to enter Inai Yang's realm, it is also the result of Inai Yang's realm being in the mortal realm. Reverend Ming Liang spoke frankly with assurance. However, now that time is very short, everyone should return and properly prepare. We must enter Inai Yang's realm in our best condition. We must not be so relaxed and slack off. Reverend Ming Shan nodded and said, Senior is right. However, everyone is too excited today, which is why we should properly celebrate. Haha, today we will relax and slack off, it is not a big deal. Reverend Ming Liang, fellow Ming Shan is right. Come everyone raise your cups. Reverend Qi Yang also said cheerfully. The 5 great reverends raised their cups and drank together. After drinking, the young cultivators, serving the 5 great reverends, hurriedly poured wine for each of them. Shui Yang suddenly snorted coldly. As it turned out, the young cultivator who was pouring wine for him was too nervous and spilled the wine on Shui Yang's long gown. Which sect are you from? Shui Yang asked indifferently. Junior is from Lianyang sect. That young cultivator's face was deathly pale, extremely frightened. You can't even handle such a small matter properly, and were unexpectedly sent to serve me. It seems that the temperament of the elite disciples of Lianyang sect is too low. You should go back and face the wall for 1,000 years to properly temper your temperament. Go. Shui Yang indifferently announced the punishment. When that young cultivator heard about facing the wall for 1,000 years, his heart couldn't help but tremble. Facing the wall for 1,000 years, he would be facing the mountain wall alone. Moreover, it would be lonely, and no one would come. He would have to persist like this for 100 years. For a young cultivator whose cultivation time was relatively short, this was indeed an extremely terrifying punishment. All right, Brother Shui Yang, don't let a young disciple dampen your spirits. Reverend Ming Liang said with a faint smile. In the eyes of this group of experts who stood at the peak of the mortal realm, those ordinary cultivator disciples could naturally be rewarded or punished according to their likes and dislikes. Perhaps only experts like Sword Immortal Lan Feng could cause them to fear. When a young cultivator was punished, the other young cultivators naturally felt worried in their hearts. Every one of them was very careful, fearing that even the slightest mistake would occur. While trembling with fear, this group of young cultivators did not make any big mistakes. However, this feeling of walking on a tightrope caused every young cultivator to feel fear in their hearts. On the contrary, at this moment, the 5 reverends who were being served by them were very happy, exchanging toasts with each other. However, at this moment, Hua Yan, you seem to be very satisfied, but I don't know why. But I always find you displeasing to the eye. Are you worthy of being a sword immortal? Sigh. An indifferent and elegant voice resounded throughout the entire Qingsu mountain. In an instant, it was as if the body had been fixed. In the entire Qingsu mountain, all the Xiaxianists, all the loose immortals, the 5 reverends, and even Hua Yan were all shocked. A sharp blood-red light, like the splendor of the blood moon, it descended from the 9 heavens. Poof! With a light crisp sound, Reverend Ming Liang, who was still at the table, trembled. Soon after, his entire body strangely began to corrode. At the same time, with a pung sound, his entire body turned into a bloody mist. That top-grade immortal sword Dianxing naturally fell. An afterimage flashed, and that top-grade immortal sword Dianxing had already disappeared without a trace. At this moment, the 4 surviving reverends retreated with frightened expressions. Reverend Ming Liang was killed in an instant. With their cultivation level, naturally they would not be able to withstand a single blow. At this moment, the group of young cultivators hiding in the corner saw the 4 reverends' terrified expressions. They did not know why, but they felt a burst of joy in their hearts. That was Sword Immortal Lan Feng's voice. Reverend Ming Shan's eyes were filled with anger. His senior was the spiritual pillar of the Qingsu mountain, the absolute #1 person. Now that his senior was killed, This was an unprecedented blow to the Qingsu mountain. How could Reverend Ming Shan not be angry? With a flash, Sword Immortal Hua Yin appeared in front of everyone. Senior Hua Yin, that was Sword Immortal Lan Feng's voice. Moreover, he just said, "Are you worthy of being a Sword Immortal?" At this moment, Reverend Ming Shan only wanted Sword Immortal Hua Yin to avenge him. "Shut up," Sword Immortal Hua Yin said indifferently. As if his throat was choked, Reverend Ming Shan, who was speaking halfway, stopped. Chapter 281. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's celestial sense is simply unable to detect the slightest trace of the enemy's qi. There are only two possibilities. One is that the enemy's power is higher than his. The second was that the enemy had already left the search range of his immortal sense. With Hua Yan's current strength, the range of his search is still very wide. Merely teleporting once would be very difficult to escape the range of Sword Immortal Hua Yan's immortal sense. Therefore, it was definitely not teleportation. It should be greater teleportation that only a golden immortal expert could perform. If one were to talk about strength that was higher than him, then it would be Man Gone and the mysterious Lan Feng. What a fast speed! Did he use greater teleportation? Sword Immortal Hua Yin mutters in a low voice. His ice-cold gaze sweeps around the surroundings, especially the blood mist that Reverend Ming Liang has transformed into. He stares at it for a long while, pretending to be Sword Immortal Lan Feng's voice. Could it be that he doesn't know that a Sword Immortal's sword qi is very difficult to fake? This method of killing is clearly a method of the Blood Devil Demon Dao. Similarly, it is very difficult to disguise the methods of the Blood Devil Demon Dao. Even if I don't believe that Yu Duzhongjun did it, I have no choice but to believe it. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's heart is filled with anger. Could it be that you still think that Wukong Shui was killed by me? So you came to kill my subordinate, Reverend Ming Liang, as revenge? Sword Immortal Hua Yan's mind continuously resounds with an angry voice. Looks like this matter must be resolved. Otherwise, once we enter in I Yang's realm, it would be terrible if you were to drag me down. Sword Immortal Hua Yin had already made a decision in his heart. Regardless of whether it was a misunderstanding or something else, he had to resolve this matter before entering in I Yang's realm. Reverend Ming Shan, Reverend Qi Yang, Reverend Lan Bing, and Shui Yang all looked at Hua Yin, waiting for his orders. The four of you listen up. Stay in Heavenly Palace. I will now make a trip to the Inua mountain range. Sword Immortal Hua Yin coldly says. Yes. The four adepts replied respectfully. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's body flickers, and then completely disappears from Mount Qingshu. Times, what a pity. What a pity. When the Sword Immortal puppet killed Wukong Shui using Sword Immortal techniques, it only pierced a very small hole in his yuanying. His yuanying was not damaged at all. Later on, it can still be refined. But this time, he used the top-quality magic tool Blood Moon to attack. The Blood Devil's demonic energy forced out of the Blood Moon even corroded Reverend Ming Liang's yuanying. What a waste! Inside the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Qingyu deliberately sighed. Ho Fei, Kuro, and the three Shi brothers all looked at Qingyu strangely. Big brother, you killed others and took their supreme-grade immortal artifact, but you didn't get it. Yuanying sighed. You are really? Ho Fei was speechless. Big brother is overjoyed, Kuro said with a smile. Qinyu's pretense of sighing immediately disappeared, and he laughed out loud. It's still Xiaohei who understands me. Now that I've killed Reverend Ming Liang, the two instigators of the capital's murder case have been executed, and the worry in my heart has also been removed. Now, let's see if Sword Immortal Hua Yin and Blood Devil Du Zhongjun will make a move. Most likely they won't really make a move, Ho Fei said with a laugh. Kuro also nodded in agreement. Qingyu took a deep breath, and then slowly exhaled. Who cares? Whether or not the two of them fight is only a side dish. We need to prepare a main dish now. What main dish? Ho Fei was puzzled. Kuro smiled at Ho Fei and said, Monkey, you don't even know about this. Of course it's about entering in I Yang's realm. Qingyu nodded and said, yes. Now the Loose Immortals, Loose Devils, and the Dragon Clan all have the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. They won't waste any more time. Why did the Ascendant Realm emissaries descend? Isn't it to enter Inai Yang's realm? If there isn't anything obstructing them, they will quickly head to Inai Yang's realm. I think that although I purposely stirred things up this time, they will still head to Inai Yang's realm in the near future. Yes, that makes sense. Ho Fei nodded. Qin Yu suddenly looked at the three Shi brothers. Sure Xian, after a period of time, you all will first return to Qianlong continent to be with my royal father. Fei and I will first go to Inai Yang's realm. After we come out, we will go find you all. Of course, there is no need to rush now. Yes, the three Shi brothers responded. Times inside the Blood Devil Hall. His back is straight as a long sword. Hua Yin just stood in the middle of the Blood Devil Hall's great hall. Du Zhongjun, I have an important matter to discuss with you. Hua Yan's voice was still so calm. His voice reverberated within the Blood Devil Hall. And at this moment, there was no one else in the Blood Devil Hall's great hall other than Hua Yan, within a secret room of the Blood Devil Hall. Hua Yan, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun was puzzled. What is he doing here? I haven't even bothered him about Wukong Shue's death, and now he has come to find trouble with me. However, no matter what, entering Inai Yang's realm is the most important matter. I still need to meet him. Du Zhongjun's figure within the secret room disappeared into thin air. Haha, so it is Hua Yan. A human figure appeared in the great hall out of thin air. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun was wearing a blood-red robe. He was all smiles as he looked at Hua Yan. At the same time, he waved his hand, and a barrier appeared outside the great hall, preventing outsiders from hearing what was happening inside. Hua Yan looked at Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. Du Zhongjun, my subordinate, Reverend Ming Liang, was just killed by someone. Ming Liang is dead? The smile on Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's face immediately disappeared. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's first reaction was this: Hua Yan is here to find trouble. His second reaction was, I did not kill Ming Liang. Who killed Ming Liang? This is a conspiracy. In just a moment, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun felt that this was a conspiracy. Yes, Ming Liang is dead. Moreover, the person's voice was exactly the same as Lan Feng's. Hua Yan said. However, Lan Feng is a sword immortal. That person's method of killing was unique to the Blood Devil path. Reverend Ming Liang was hit, and his entire body was corroded and finally turned into a bloody mist. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's expression stiffened, and then he suddenly laughed. Hua Yan, you are not suspecting me, right? Hua Yan nodded and said, I am suspecting you, because the Blood Devil path's unique method of killing, it must rely on the special energy of the Blood Devil path to create such an effect. Tell me, if it was not you, then who could it be? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun frowned. But in just a moment, a trace of ruthlessness appeared in Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's eyes. I know. Hua Yan, you should know that when Wukong Shui was killed by the mysterious person, the top-grade devil weapon Blood Moon, that I had bestowed upon him, was also taken away by that person. Blood Moon. Hua Yan had also heard of this devil weapon's famous name. That's right, the Blood Moon. This is a demonic artifact suitable for experts who cultivate the Blood Devil path. After countless generations of Blood Devil path experts, the Blood Moon naturally contains an astonishing amount of Blood Devil path energy. I think it must be that mysterious person who forced out the Blood Moon's energy and killed Reverend Ming Liang. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun could still be considered calm. Hua Yan slightly nodded. I have to say that what you said is very reasonable. But how can you make me believe what you said? Hua Yan looked at Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun laughed out loud. Hua Yan, do you not understand this principle? Let me ask you, did you kill Wukong Shui? No. Hua Yan denied. Then it's settled. You did not kill Wukong Shui. Wukong Shui is dead. Could it be that I killed him? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun laughed. It is impossible for me to kill him. You also did not kill him. There must be someone secretly, deliberately messing up the situation. Hua Yan glanced at Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, and finally nodded. Although their conjectures were reasonable, but Blood Devil Du Zhongjun would definitely believe that he, Hua Yan, did not kill Wukong Shui? Similarly, would Hua Yan absolutely believe that Du Zhongjun did not kill Reverend Ming Liang? It was just that the day of entering Inai Yang's realm was fast approaching. They could only believe each other. To believe what the other said. To believe that someone was deliberately messing up the situation. Good, I will believe you on this matter. Hua Yin nodded, and immediately turned around to take 2 steps. Suddenly, Hua Yin looked towards a direction for a while, and finally shook his head doubtfully. His entire person turned into nothingness and disappeared. If it were not for Inai Yang's realm, I would have killed you long ago if you came to my door to question me like this. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun was secretly angry. Times, this Hua Yan's soul cultivation is slightly higher than Du Zhongjun's. He can actually vaguely sense my demon awareness. A loud laughter rang out in a manner. There were only 3 people in this manner. Man Gong, Yu Liang and Kong Chao. Yu Liang was the controller of the wilderness, and Kong Chao was the leader of the 3 great demons under Yu Liang's command. These 3 people were the candidates of the wilderness demon clan to enter Inai Yang's realm. My lord, it is too tiring for you to constantly use your demon awareness to observe the Inua mountain range. It is better to let this subordinate do the monitoring. Yu Liang said respectfully. That day, on the surface, Man Gong's group left Snowfish Mountain for the wilderness. However, in reality, not long after they left, Man Gong led Yu Liang and Kong Chao back quietly and arrived at the Tunglong continent. Man Gong himself had been secretly using his demon awareness to observe the Inua mountain range. Using Man Gong's words, believing in a devil, am I a fool? I will just watch him like this. As long as he leaves the Inua mountain range, there is an 80 to 90% chance that he will gather with the other 2 parties and head to Inai Yang's realm together. As long as I keep watch, he can forget about shaking me off. Needless to say, although Man Gong's method was stupid, it was actually very effective. Of course, Man Gong's cultivation was profound and had even reached the peak of a first-level demon king. His demon awareness covered the Inua mountain range, but that blood devil Du Zhongjun did not detect it in the slightest. Meanwhile, Sword Immortal Hua Yan's soul cultivation was slightly stronger. At the beginning, when he was discussing with Du Zhongjun, he did not detect it. However, when he left, he did detect it. However, he only vaguely detected it, and was not too certain. Yu Liang, once you use your demon awareness, I estimate that blood devil Du Zhongjun will immediately discover it. Man Gong said with a smile. My lord, I will not go and monitor Du Zhongjun. I will only watch over Lady Lian Yu and the others. I believe that the loose devils will definitely send out a few people. Lady Lian Yu and the others will naturally head towards Inai Yang's realm. Watching over them is equivalent to watching over blood devil Du Zhongjun, Yu Liang said respectfully. Man Gong smiled and nodded. That makes sense. But, Yu Liang, don't forget, although you are only monitoring Lady Lian Yu and the others, with blood devil Du Zhongjun's cultivation, how could he not discover you? Alright, I know you are loyal, but this matter should still be left to me. Although it is somewhat tiring to constantly use my demon awareness, I can still hold on. After Man Gong finished speaking, he quietly closed his eyes and rested, while his demon awareness was still constantly observing the Inua mountain range. Yu Liang and Kong Chao looked at each other, and could only helplessly watch from the side. Time passed extremely quickly, and the day to gather at Eager Dragon Island arrived very quickly. On this morning, the rays of the morning sun were warm, and the entire Inua mountain range was emitting a fresh and earthy smell. The top experts of the Inua mountain range, Lady Lian Yu, Wu Hei, and Fire Devil all had excited expressions on their faces at all times. That was because they had long known that today was the day to head towards Eager Dragon Island. Heading towards Eager Dragon Island represented heading towards Inai Yang's realm, and heading towards Inai Yang's realm represented that there were countless treasures waiting for them. When they thought of Blood Devil, Du Zhongjun once described to them about the number of treasures within Inai Yang's realm, and the shocking amount of wealth. The 3 loose devil experts could not help but become excited in their hearts. At the entrance of the Blood Devil Hall. Today's weather is really not bad. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun stood at the entrance of the hall, facing the morning sun as he smiled and stretched. It was obvious that he was in a very good mood. Oh, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun flipped his hand and took out a transmission talisman. Brother Du, don't forget that we are gathering at Eager Dragon Island today to gather the 3 Sundering the Heavens diagrams to obtain the map of Inai Yang's realm. However, the matter of heading towards Inai Yang's realm together. Rest assured, how would I forget about this matter? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun used his devil awareness to scan and reply to the message, yet his mouth muttered to himself, "This Ao Feng is really long-winded enough." Meanwhile at that moment, Fire Devil, Wu Hei, and Lady Lianyu had long gathered together. They had prepared everything, and were now only waiting for Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's orders. Fire Devil Wu Hei Lianyu, you all should be ready. Gather at the Blood Devil Hall. A familiar and long-awaited voice sounded in the minds of Lady Lianyu and the other two. Lady Lianyu and the other two immediately used their fastest speed to directly arrive at the Blood Devil Hall. Within a manor in the Tung-Long continent. They have actually gathered. Don't tell me they are about to set off. Man Gon, who had his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes, and an ominous glint flickered. Du Zhongjun, it seems that you are really as I have predicted. You are prepared to ignore me and directly leave secretly. Man Gon's demon awareness was currently observing Lady Lianyu, Wu Hei Fire Devil, as well as Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's every move. They were currently only gathering, and Man Gon had yet to explode. If Blood Devil Du Zhongjun really brought people and left, no one really dared to imagine what kind of things the crazy Man Gon would do. Very good. Lianyu, you have already arranged the matters regarding Inua Mountain Range, right? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun said with a smile. Everything has been arranged. Lord Blood Devil, please be at ease. Lady Lianyu's face was full of smiles. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun nodded, glanced at the 3 people, and then said, "Good. From now on, the 3 of you must obey my orders. You are not allowed to act on your own." "Yes, Lord Blood Devil," the 3 people said respectfully. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun waved his hand in satisfaction and said, "Now we will first go to Eager Dragon Island and gather with the other 2 groups of people. Set off. P.S. Tomato has something to do and needs to leave Suzhou. Sorry, he can only update 1 chapter today. Tomorrow night, Tomato will take the train back to Suzhou. Tomorrow, the 2 chapters will definitely be completed. Right now, it is still unknown when he will return tomorrow night. However, even if Tomato stays up late tomorrow, he will still update 2 chapters. I hope everyone can understand. From the beginning of the next chapter, it will be a new plot, the plot of entering Inai Yang's realm." Chapter 283. Under the morning sun, the Inua mountain range was shrouded in mist. The Blood Demon Hall at the core of the Inua mountain range was the most eye-catching. Similarly, at this moment, with Blood Devil Du Zhongjun as the leader, Dame Lianyu, Wu Hei, Fire Devil and the others were in the air above the Blood Devil Hall. Following Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's order, Dame Lianyu and the other 2 immediately set off. "However, Du Zhongjun, you're really trustworthy." An indifferent voice resounded in the sky above the Inua mountain range. However, almost all the self-cultivators could feel the anger and fury contained in that voice. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's expression changed, and he exclaimed in a low voice, "It's Man Gon." Man Qian, who was like a devil god, appeared in the sky above the Inua mountain range. That surging demonic energy was so dense that it made all the loose devils feel fear in their hearts. That pair of pupils of Man Gon's that were emitting a purple ominous glint even more made all of the loose devils tremble with fear. Blood Demon Du Zhongjun's face was somewhat pale. As for the 3 loose devil experts behind Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, they don't even dare to breathe loudly. Each and every one of them is trembling with fear. However, in front of the most valiant of the 4 great emissaries, Man Qian, he was still like a mouse meeting a cat. "Wait for my order. All of you will teleport to Eager Dragon Island." Blood Devil Du Zhongjun transmitted his voice using his devil sense. "Yes, Lord Blood Devil." Dame Lianyu and the others replied through sound transmission. "Brother Man Qian, I was just about to inform you. Who would have thought that you would appear? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun immediately said with a smile. Oh, is that really the case? But from what I've heard and seen, that doesn't seem to be the case. I will give you a chance. If you have a clear conscience, you can swear an oath to heaven and earth. Mangon looked at Blood Devil Du Zhongjun with cold eyes. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun was slightly startled. He could lie, but he couldn't just randomly swear an oath. As a cultivator, how could Blood Demon Du Zhongjun not know how terrifying the consequences of breaking an oath were? Although it was only for a short moment of astonishment, Man Qian nevertheless already knew Du Zhongjun's thoughts. Meanwhile, Mangon had instead spoken, and his cold laughter reverberated between the heaven and earth. Haha, what a good Du Zhongjun. Your guts are really not small. I really did not think that you, a tiny little blood devil demonic practitioner, would also dare to deceive and toy with me in such a manner. Since you want to die, then don't blame me for being merciless. Even if I take your heaven-sundering diagram, I can still. Man Qian had only spoken half of his words when a gigantic blade qi, that was several tens of meters long, appeared in the sky out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Man Qian himself was holding onto a broad-backed machete. Pfff. Like paste, the entire space wriggled for a while before it completely broke apart. A huge black hole, that was 100 meters long and wide, appeared in the sky above the Inua mountain range. A terrifying attractive force crazily devoured the surrounding forests, rocks, and loose devils. Ah! Miserable shrieks rose and fell. One after another, loose devils were swallowed into the chaotic black hole. At the same time, pieces of rocks and buildings were also swallowed. That black hole seemed to be able to swallow anything. There was no way to resist. In front of the space cracks, the loose devil's resistance is futile. This caused panic. It caused countless loose devils in the Inua mountain range to panic. When experts like Mangon fought, they, as loose devils, would simply be caught in the crossfire. Instantly, countless loose devils fled in all directions at high speeds. There were even an extremely small number of panicked loose devils that actually carried out teleportation within such a chaotic space. Under such circumstances, teleportation was undoubtedly suicide. Those extremely small number of loose devils were already scared to the point that their minds were no longer clear. So despicable. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun cursed angrily. Earlier, Mangon had deliberately attacked halfway through his words, which had instead caught Blood Devil Du Zhongjun unprepared. All of you first evade. When you reach a place where space is stable, immediately use teleportation and rush to Eager Dragon Island. All of you do not need to worry about my safety. On the surface, Du Zhongjun's fury soared to the heavens, but his heart was instead calm. He very calmly transmitted to the three great loose devil experts under him. Yes, Lord Blood Devil. Dame Lianyu and the other two understood the situation. Once the three of them escaped, Du Zhongjun would no longer be implicated by them, and would still have the certainty to escape with his life. Man Qian's move just now had split open space, and the terrifying spatial crack had swallowed several hundred loose devils, as well as several thousand devil cultivators in merely an instant. It had caused panic, causing countless loose devils to run in all directions in fright. Meanwhile, Dame Lian Yu Wu Hei and Fire Devil had also mixed in with the countless loose devils that were fleeing for their lives, fleeing in all directions without any purpose. Mangon, isn't this a little too much? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun coldly shouted. Too much? Haha. If this is called too much, then I will let you know what is too much. The purple light in Mangon's pupils became brighter and brighter. A terrifying whirlwind was currently spinning at an extreme speed with Mangon's right fist as the center, and was continuously shrinking. When he saw that scene, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's expression changed greatly. Burning blood escape. The blood within Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's body completely boiled, and blood seeped out from every part of his body. However, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's entire person transformed into a streak of bloody light, and quickly flew towards the east. Bastard! When he saw that scene, Mangon knew one thing. No matter what, it was absolutely impossible for him to catch up to Blood Devil Du Zhongjun burning blood escape was not instant movement, nor was it greater teleportation, but a type of flying technique. It was just that the burning blood escape speed was 10 times faster than normal. Under normal circumstances, Mangon's speed was faster than Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. However, with Blood Devil Du Zhongjun using the burning blood escape, it was simply impossible for Mangon to catch up. My lord. Yu Liang and Kong Chao both appeared behind Du Zhongjun. My lord. That Du Zhongjun. When Du Zhongjun was mentioned, Mangon became even more furious. That was because Mangon was very clear on what Du Zhongjun was thinking. It was impossible for Du Zhongjun to care about the life and death of the loose devils in the mortal realm. Meanwhile, there was currently no quota to enter in Yang's realm. How would he Mangon complete the mission? How would he seize the treasures within Yang's realm? The more he thought, the angrier he became. He was the most respected super divine beast in the demon realm. Even if his martial power was not high, the clan still treasured them incomparably. In terms of status, super divine beasts far surpassed Du Zhongjun, who was a first-level demon king. Du Zhongjun actually dared to deceive him. Mangon's expression became extremely ugly. At the same time, his right fist, which was continuously accumulating power, was still continuously accumulating power. The furious and crazy Mangon seemed to have forgotten to punch out. Yeah, Du Zhongjun, don't let me meet you again. Mangon raised his head and roared angrily, abruptly smashing his right fist downwards towards the Inu mountain range. That energy that had been accumulated to the extreme instantly completely exploded. With Mangon's fist as the center, it formed into ripples and spread out in all directions. The entire space seemed to fluctuate like the ripples. There was not a single sound. Under Mangon's extremely furious fist, wherever the spatial ripples passed, rocks were completely turned into fine powder. In just a split second, a huge crater with a radius of 100 miles appeared in the central region of the Inu mountain range. An unprecedentedly large crater appeared in the center of the Inu mountain range. The Inu palace that had just been successfully established was once again destroyed. My lord, what should we do now? Yu Liang and Kong Chao stood behind Mangon. Mangon pondered for a moment, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Very good, they have entered in Yang's realm. However, the treasures within Yang's realm basically cannot increase their martial power by much. Even if they come out, they will not be my match. The moment Du Zhongjun comes out, I will let him die. Although that was what his mouth said, Mangon's heart was still ruthless. That was because he knew that when others came out, the first thing they would do was to immediately return to the upper realm. Most likely, they would not even give him the slightest chance. However, he Mangon did not even have the chance to enter in Yang's realm, much less snatch away the treasures within Yang's realm. What could he do? If I had known earlier, I would have bought those 3 pieces of top-grade elemental spirit stones from Aofeng back then, and obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagrams through auction. Mangon's heart was filled with extreme regret. However, on the surface, Mangon would not have any signs of admitting defeat. After all, he was the most arrogant super divine beast. Even if he suffered a loss, he would also grit his teeth and swallow it into his stomach. Times Eager Dragon Island. The side of the loose immortals and the side of the dragon clan had long arrived. Meanwhile, Lady Lianyu, Wu Hei, and Fire Devil had also arrived. Senior Hua Yan, Senior Aofeng, Senior Fang Tian. Earlier, that Mangon had killed his way to the Inu mountain range, and Lord Blood Devil had acted to restrain Mangon. That was why the 3 of us could come here earlier. I believe that Lord Blood Devil will arrive here very soon. Lady Lianyu said respectfully. Hua Yan, Aofeng, and Fang Tian looked at each other, and then a trace of a smile appeared on their faces. Of the 3 great experts present, not a single one was willing to become enemies with Mangon. That was because the other party was a super divine beast. For example, Fang Tian was also a super divine beast. Although he only had the cultivation of a 12th tribulation loose demon, which was equivalent to a 9th level heavenly immortal. However, his strength was definitely not inferior to Hua Yan's. Of course, The prerequisite was that the two people's weapons and battle armors were the same. Meanwhile, Mangon was also a super divine beast. Moreover, he was a super divine beast that contained the strongest martial power. At the same time, he was also a first-level Demon King super divine beast. Suddenly, a blood-red figure suddenly appeared on Eager Dragon Island. The experts present could not help but raise their heads to look. That blood-red figure was precisely Du Zhongjun, who was bathed in blood. "Brother Du, what happened to you?" Hua Yin had a shocked expression. The current Du Zhongjun's complexion was as pale as snow. His entire body was dyed with fresh blood, and the surface of his skin had traces of burns. That was the aftereffect of using the igniting blood escape technique. "It's nothing. I was only forced to use the igniting blood escape technique by that man gone. Even if I have spiritual pills, I estimate that I will still need 3 days to recover. I ask that everyone wait for another 3 days." Du Zhongjun said to everyone. Hua Yin, Ao Feng, and Feng Tian all nodded. "Brother Du, please rest at ease and recuperate. Isn't it just 3 days? To us, even 3 years is merely the blink of an eye," Ao Feng said with a smile. The other two also nodded. Du Zhongjun cupped his hands and said, "Then I thank everyone." After saying that, Du Zhongjun found a place and immediately began to meditate and recuperate. 3 days later, within a certain small courtyard on Eager Dragon Island, the three factions had gathered 3 Sundering the Heavens diagrams and obtained the map to Inai Yang's realm. "It's actually here. Inai Yang's realm is actually here." The 4 people present, Hua Yin, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, and Feng Tian, were all dumbstruck. Although they had thought of that possibility, they had always hoped that it was not. However, the final result told them that Inai Yang's realm was actually at that place. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang is truly formidable. Perhaps the peculiar environment of this planet was also created by him. Since everyone now knows the location of Inai Yang's realm, presumably, everyone should also know the difficulties of this trip. Everyone should first rest for a while, and then immediately depart after half a day. "Is that all right?" Ao Feng smiled and nodded. Hua Yin and Du Zhongjun both nodded thoughtfully. It was obvious that the map to Inai Yang's realm obtained from the gathering of the 3 Sundering the Heavens diagrams had caused all the experts present to be incomparably shocked. The 4 people separated within the small courtyard. Feng Tian flipped his hand, and a transmission talisman appeared. "Zhongju, it's me." Feng Tian and Zhongju had a very good relationship. After all, both of them were super divine beasts. Moreover, they were also invincible existences in the mortal realm. In terms of friendship, Feng Tian was even closer to Zhongju than he was to the dragon emissary Ao Feng. After all, Feng Tian and Zhongju either fought or joked with each other. Their relationship was very good, and there was a feeling of mutual appreciation. "Feng Tian, what's the matter?" Zhongju also began to chat with Feng Tian. "Zhongju, let me tell you something. My dragon clan, the Loose Devils, and the Loose Immortals have already gathered and found the map to Inai Yang's realm. We are about to depart." "Haha, Zhongju, this time, I will be 1 step ahead of you." Feng Tian told this news to Zhongju. Heading to Inai Yang's realm? Once he received this news, Zhongju's entire body went blank, and he only regained his senses after a while. "How is it so fast?" Zhongju asked anxiously. "Haha, you don't need to ask about this matter. Moreover, my dragon clan's quota is still not enough, so there is no way to bring you in. However, Zhongju, don't worry. I am very clear about your strength. You only lack a good weapon. This time when I enter Inai Yang's realm, it is still very easy to bring you a set of powerful weapons and armor. Aren't I a good brother?" Feng Tian joked. Zhongju hastily concluded, "I am a good brother. Feng Tian, I have something important to do. Let's contact each other later." Immediately, Zhongju immediately sent a transmission to Qingyu. Within the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, the 3 brothers Qingyu, Hou Fei, and Kuro were free and unfettered. "Zhongju?" Qingyu was puzzled. He scanned the contents of the transmission talisman with his spiritual sense, and his expression immediately changed. Qingyu's eyes lit up, and he immediately replied with a transmission. Senior Zong, quickly head to Snowfish Island together. When that time comes, we will also head to Inai Yang's realm together. Qin Yu was instead carefully pondering the meaning of that message in his heart. The loose immortals side, the loose devils side, the dragon clan, are merely three sides. Then what about Mangon? I remember that Mangon had initially said that he wanted to occupy the quota of the loose devil's side. But Zhongju's message just now did not mention Mangon. Then, Qin Yu's eyes lit up, and he immediately sent a transmission to Mangon. Brother Mangon, I am Qin Yu. Currently, the loose immortals side, the loose devil's side, and the dragon clan have already joined forces, and are preparing to head to Inai Yang's realm. Do you know? Qin Yu paused, and when he saw Mangon's reply, Qin Yu smiled. As expected, Mangon's situation was as he had expected. Brother Mangon, do not be agitated. I now want to tell you a big secret. This secret is that other than passing through the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, there is another way to enter Inai Yang's realm. Unfortunately, I know this method. Chapter 284. 3 whole days. Tunglong continent suffered an unprecedented blow. The side of loose immortals, and the side of loose devils, once fought a great battle for the heaven sundering diagram. But the losses of that battle were not even comparable to the losses of these 3 days. In these 3 days, an invincible demon-like expert killed countless rogue cultivators with cruel and crazy methods. Among the experts he killed, the weakest one was a 6th tribulation loose cultivator. In just 3 days, 80% of the loose practitioners, above the 6th tribulation level, on the entire Tunglong continent, were killed or injured. That was Mangon's way of venting his anger. I will definitely be ridiculed by those bastards when I return this time. For not even being able to enter the main door of Inai Yang's realm, Mangon's heart was filled with extreme hatred. He wished he could grind Du Zhongjun's bones to dust. As for killing 80% of the loose cultivators above the 6th tribulation, in the demon realm, even the destruction of a planet is not a big deal. Of course, the premise is that you have to deal with the revenge of some experts from your home planet. Qin Yu, Man Qian's heart moved, and a piece of transmission talisman appeared in his hand. When he saw the second message sent by Qin Yu, Man Qian felt as if he was dreaming. Brother Qin Yu, you cannot brag about this matter. Entering Inai Yang's realm is an extremely big matter. Man Qian still found it a little hard to believe. He had just used his demon awareness to transmit that piece of information, when Man Qian transmitted another message. You really do have a method to enter Inai Yang's realm? Brother Mangon, please be at ease. My junior martial uncle has obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, so why would he auction them off? If he didn't have other methods to enter Inai Yang's realm, would junior martial uncle have been willing to auction off the Heaven Sundering diagram? Qin Yu's message made Man Qian believe a little. At that time, Mangon was very suspicious. Did that sword immortal Lanfeng's brain have a problem? Such a precious Sundering the Heavens diagrams were actually auctioned off. Now that he heard what Qin Yu said, he understood a lot. So, he had already found a way to enter Inai Yang's realm. The Heaven Sundering diagram was of no use to him. What? Does Brother Man Qian not believe what I have said? Qin Yu's spiritual awareness transmission contained a trace of embarrassment. Brother Qin Yu, since you have said so, of course I believe you. Mangon immediately transmitted a message. That Mangon also understood the logic behind it. No matter what, he would first believe in it before deciding on anything else. In any case, he, Mangon, currently had no way of entering Inai Yang's realm. At the very least, he believed that Qin Yu would still have a solution. If he did not believe, then he, Mangon, could only watch helplessly as the other 3 great emissaries entered Inai Yang's realm. Brother Mangon, please do not hesitate to rush to Snowfish Island. Zhongju from the chaotic astral ocean will also arrive very soon. That's because I have 9 quotas to enter Inai Yang's realm. I need 3 for myself, and the chaotic astral ocean needs 3. Brother Man Qian, you can also only have 3 quotas. Qin Yu entrusted 3 spots to the current Man Qian. A single quota was already an extremely big surprise. When Mangon heard what Chinyu said, his heart was greatly reassured. Since even the people of the chaotic astral ocean are participating, it seems that this matter is most likely true. Moreover, to Chinyu, deliberately playing with Mangon and Zhongju did not have any benefits. Snowfish Island. Good, my men will arrive very soon. Mangon immediately sent a message to Chinyu. Then I will bring my 2 brothers and wait for Brother Mangon's arrival. Chinyu immediately kept the communication talisman. Times on Snowfish Island. After Chinyu had used the sword immortal puppet to kill Reverend Ming Liang, he had secretly returned to Snowfish Island. At that moment, Chinyu and his 2 brothers were at the site of Snowfish Island's most famous snowfish lake, near the ancient teleportation array, bidding farewell to Sher Xian and his 2 brothers. Sher Xian, when you reach the hidden dragon continent, just take care of my royal father and the others. As for whatever you want to do, I believe that no one will interfere with you, and also have no ability to interfere with you, Chinyu said with a smile. At that moment, Sher Xian and his 2 brothers were actually very happy. They could finally roam freely for a while. Although they also had some desires towards In Yang's realm. However, Sher Xian and his brothers still understood in their hearts that if they did not have Chinyu's help, just by themselves, no matter how many people entered, they would all die. Hey Sherbing little brat, don't overdo it. If I suddenly ascend you as my spirit beast, and having reached the Desheng stage long ago, will also ascend. So you have to be careful, Ho Fei warned. Yes, master, Sherbing said respectfully. Chinyu and his 2 brothers just happened to correspond to Sher Xian's 3 spirit beasts. Chinyu's spirit beast was the eldest of the 3 spirit beasts, Sher Xian. Ho Fei's spirit beast was the second of the 3 spirit beasts, Sherbing. As for Kuroa's spirit beast, it was the 3rd brother of the 3 spirit beasts, Sherzhan. Fei, don't be too worried. Although you and Xiao Hei's internal energy conversion speed is much faster than ordinary people, you still need at least a few years to reach the Desheng stage. Although a few years' time is very short, exploring in Yang's realm once should not take too long. I reckon that when you come out, you will not have ascended yet, Chinyu said helplessly. Ho Fei and Kuroa's cultivation speed was very fast, and the internal energy conversion speed was also very fast. When the internal energy completely converted into the demon elemental energy that belonged to the demon realm, that would be the time for Ho Fei and Kuro to ascend. Yes, it is a few years. Ho Fei nodded and said, but a few years is really very short. It can be easily passed with just one closed-door cultivation. At Ho Fei's level of cultivation, even if he closed-door cultivation for 100 years, it would be very normal. Therefore, a few years had always been very short in their eyes. Kuro also nodded and said, I reckon that it will not be long since we entered in Yang's realm, so Monkey should not be too anxious to entrust Sherzhan and the rest. Alright, Sher Xian and the other 2. Don't listen to our nonsense here. Quickly go through the ancient teleportation array, and go to the hidden dragon continent, Chinyu said with a smile. Yes, master. Sher Xian bowed and replied, then immediately brought the 2 brothers, and stepped into the ancient teleportation array. Following the envelopment of rays of light, the ancient teleportation array's rays of light dissipated in just a moment, as if nothing had changed. It was just that the original Sher Xian and the other 2 had already disappeared without a trace. Times Snowfish Island was snow white. Under the sunlight, the entire Snowfish Island was like a snow-white world, quiet and tranquil. Under the sunlight, the snowflakes were sparkling and translucent. Haha, brother Chinyu. The entire sky above Snowfish Island suddenly rang with a deep voice. That voice was so loud and clear that it was simply shocking to the extreme. Countless snowflakes on Snowfish Island trembled and rolled down. Chinyu, Ho Fei and Kuro were like 3 black streams of light that shot out from the manor below. After that, they stood in midair and smiled as they looked at the 3 people opposite them. Haha, it is indeed Brother Manqian. When I heard the voice just now, I was thinking in the current mortal realm, other than Brother Manqian, who else has such a domineering and unique voice? Chinyu said with a smile. To enter an I Yang's realm, their own side's strength must at least be strong enough. Back then, Qin Yu had pulled Zhong Ju over to his side. Currently, Qin Yu had a great interest towards Man Qian, who had such great strength, and seemed to be the #1 person among the 4 great emissaries. Brother Qin Yu, you should stop praising me. Until now, I have not even obtained a quota to enter an I Yang's realm, and now I have still run over to your side. That's right, where is Zhong Ju? Man Qian inquired. Man Qian had already used his demon awareness to search once just now. However, he discovered that this snowfish island did not have any experts from the chaotic astral ocean. Could it be that Qin Yu had lied to him? You are talking about Senior Zhong Ju. He is someone from the chaotic astral ocean. The chaotic astral ocean's waters are vast. Even if he was closer, he would still need a period of time to rush here, Qin Yu said with a smile. Suddenly, who said that there would still be a period of time? Zhong Ju's voice actually rang out. Qin Yu looked towards the direction of the voice in shock, only to see Zhong Ju bringing along 2 large men and walking over. Qin Yu recognized those 2 large men. They were the 2 island lords of Black Wind Island, one of the 3 great islands of the chaotic astral ocean, Stone Transformation and Stone Transformation Brothers. The Stone Transformation and Stone Transformation Brothers were divine beasts. Their original bodies were an extremely strange type of divine beast, petrified beast. Senior Zhong. Qin Yu was greatly shocked. Qin Yu was very clear that the chaotic astral ocean was vast. Even if it was Devil Pung Island, there was still a distance of several billion kilometers from Snowfish Island, which was located outside the chaotic astral ocean. Wanting to cross such a long distance in a short period of time was simply impossible. Don't be so shocked. Firstly, I was not at Devil Pung Island just now, but at Black Wind Island. Secondly, my attainments in the aspect of speed are much higher than what you think, Zhong Ju said with a faint smile. Mangon, who was at the side, also nodded and said, Qin Yu, the speed of a golden-winged great rock is extremely impressive. No matter if it is teleportation, flight, or even intercourse with each other, other super divine beasts would not be able to learn all kinds of ultimate techniques related to speed even if they wanted to. Alright, since everyone has already arrived, then everyone should go to the central manor to rest. After that, I will first tell everyone the map that leads to Inai Yang's realm. When Qin Yu said those words, Mangon and Zhong Ju both nodded in agreement. Half a day later, within the central manor's 4-sided courtyard, the auction for the Sundering the Heavens diagrams had previously been held here. Meanwhile, Qin Yu was currently announcing the map that led to Inai Yang's realm. Brother Mangon, please take a seat. Senior Zhong, please take a seat. Qin Yu sat on one side of the round table, while Mangon and Zhong Ju sat on the other 2 sides. The 3 of them just happened to form a circle. Brother Mangon, Senior Zhong, before I tell you the map of Inai Yang's realm, I will first talk about the secret regarding the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Both of you have not dripped your blood on the Sundering the Heavens diagrams before, so I believe that you are not familiar with it, Qin Yu said with a smile. Mangon and Zhong Ju both shook their heads and smiled bitterly, but both of them nodded. Both of them could be considered as prominent heroes, but indeed, they had never truly fully controlled a single piece of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Qin Yu nodded and said, with Brother Mangon and Senior Zhong's information regarding the chaotic astral ocean, you definitely know that one of these 3 pieces of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams belongs to me. That is why I am extremely clear about the secret of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Mangon and Zhong Ju both nodded slightly. Wasn't that Sundering the Heavens diagrams of Qin Yu precisely the fuse that caused the loose immortals and loose devils to be hostile towards each other? The Sundering the Heavens diagrams. When the 3 pieces are gathered together, a map that leads to Inai Yang's realm can be formed. Other than that, the Sundering the Heavens diagrams are also the qualifications to enter Inai Yang's realm. Every piece of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams contain the purest Sundering the Heavens sword energy. When that time comes, only the people within the area covered by the Sundering the Heavens sword energy will be able to enter. The Sundering the Heavens sword energy of a piece of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams can at most cover 6 people. Qin Yu explained in detail. Man Gan and Zhong Ju nodded slightly as they listened. I currently have the map that leads to Inai Yang's realm. Similarly, I also possess the pure Sundering the Heavens sword energy that belonged to immortal Emperor Inai Yang. A piece of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams can bring 6 people, while I can bring 9 people, including myself. Qin Yu said confidently. Listening to Qin Yu's frank and assured speech, Man Gan and Zhong Ju could not help but begin to believe in Qin Yu. I believe that Brother Man Gan and Senior Zhong also understand the meaning behind my words. Qin Yu smiled as he looked at the 2 people. Man Gan nodded and said, Brother Qin Yu, didn't you say that entering Inai Yang's realm requires 2 conditions? The first is a map, and the second is the qualifications to enter. Qin Yu nodded. That's right. What I am giving the 2 of you now is the first condition. A map. Qin Yu waved his hand, and 2 jade slips appeared out of thin air and floated before Man Gan and Zhong Ju's eyes. Man Gan and Zhong Ju immediately extended their hands and took those jade slips. Almost at the same time, the 2 of them used their own demon awareness to scan the map within. It's actually here. Zhong Ju's eyes widened. Man Gan's face also looked as if he had seen a ghost. Brother Qin Yu, is this map of yours wrong? Man Gan stared at Qin Yu. Where could Inai Yang's realm possibly exist? Qin Yu shook his head and smiled. Don't be surprised, and don't be surprised, and don't be in disbelief. This map is real, and it really can't be any more real. Inai Yang's realm is in the Abyss of Death, the legendary Abyss of Death. Qin Yu clearly remembered the first time he had observed that map, and the shock and disbelief he had felt when he understood the general situation of the huge planet that he was on. The mortal planet that Qin Yu was on was an extremely huge planet. That planet was in the Eastern Hemisphere, with the Hidden Dragon continent, the normal ocean region to the north of the chaotic Astral Ocean, the normal ocean region to the south of the chaotic Astral Ocean, as well as the Tunglong continent. Meanwhile, on the other half of the planet, it was a hellish scene, and people called it polar regions. In terms of danger level, the chaotic Astral Ocean paled in comparison to this polar regions. The polar regions occupied half of the planet. Its area was equivalent to the chaotic Astral Ocean, Hidden Dragon continent, Tunglong continent, normal ocean region, and so on added together. The polar regions were divided into 2 major areas. The land of polar regions Chill, and the land of polar regions Flame. Following the Hidden Dragon continent to the north, one would enter the land of polar regions Chill by several million miles north. Similarly, following the Tunglong continent to the south, one would enter the similarly dangerous land of polar regions Flame by several million miles south. The land of polar regions Chill and the land of polar regions Flame spanned several billion miles. As one went deeper, the land of polar regions Chill and the land of polar regions Flame would also become more dangerous. Even normal Luz practitioners would not dare to enter easily. The level of danger had reached an unprecedented level. Meanwhile, the most dangerous place on the entire planet was not here, but the border between the land of polar regions Flame and the land of polar regions Chill. At the border between the land of polar regions Chill and the land of polar regions Flame was an abyss without any life. It was known as Abyss of Death. In the ancient legends of the mortal world, those who entered the Abyss of Death would definitely die, and the location of Inai Yang's realm, according to the map that Qin Yu had given, was within this Abyss of Death. Chapter 285. Polar Region Abyss of Death. Man Gan exclaimed. So Inai Yang's realm is actually here. The Abyss of Death is mysterious and unfathomable. It seems that no one has discovered the secret of this Abyss of Death in the records of the mortal realm. Zhong Ju also nodded and said, the secret of the Abyss of Death is indeed unknown. Qin Yu curiously looked at Zhong Ju and asked, Senior Zhong, you and Dragon Clan's Fang Tian are both invincible existences in the mortal world. Could it be that you two have not attempted to explore the Death Abyss? Zhongju was slightly startled, then shook his head and said, "It's not that Feng Tian, and I don't have the ability, it's just that we are a little lazy." Lazy? Mangon's face was filled with disbelief. No matter how lazy you are, to you and Feng Tian, a distance of several billion kilometers should not be considered too far. Relying on teleportation should be very easy to reach there. Zhongju smiled. Brother Manqian, you don't know about this point. If the environment of the several billion miles was just like the chaotic astral ocean, Feng Tian, and I would naturally be able to easily reach the abyss of death. However, whether it is from the land of extreme polarity or the land of extreme polarity, it is extremely difficult to reach the abyss of death. There was a trace of reminiscence in Zhongju's eyes. The land of extreme extremities, the flame region, the endless flame qi. The land of extreme peril, the realm of chill, the endless cold energy. No matter which way one headed to the abyss of death. Even for me it would take at least a year to get there. 1 year. Qinyu was shocked. Qinyu was very clear about Zhongju's speed. Even if he didn't use teleportation, he believed that Zhongju would be able to cover a distance of several billion li within a month. Why would it take a year? Alright, let's not talk about it for now. You'll know why I said that when you set off. Let me tell you, Feng Tian and I once set out to the abyss of death. And we even went 95% of the way there. However, in the last 5% of the way, the two of us shrank back. First, something happened in the chaotic astral ocean. Second, we both feel tired. Zhongju said helplessly. Qinyu and Mangon did not ask further. Since they had already arrived at the polar region, they would naturally understand. Since the other party was unwilling to talk about it, why would they continue to pursue the matter? Qinyu asks with a smile. Senior Zhong, there are 2 ways to reach the abyss of death. One is to head south from the Tunglong continent and reach the land of extreme peril's flame region. Then, after passing through the land of extreme peril's flame region, you'll arrive at the abyss of death. The second method is to head north from the hidden dragon continent and reach the land of extreme coldness. After passing through the land of extreme coldness, which was about the same size, one could also reach the abyss of death. Senior Zhong, you have experience, so which path do you think we should take? Qinyu and Mangon both looked towards Zhongju. Back then, the map of Inai Yang's realm, that immortal Emperor Inai Yang had left behind was very simple. It only drew a rough outline of the background of the planet, and then pointed out that the death abyss was where Inai Yang's realm was located. At the same time, the most detailed part of the map of Inai Yang's realm was the path after entering the abyss of death. The route from the outside world to the abyss of death was simple, but stepping into the abyss of death and finding Inai Yang's realm was an extremely difficult task. Without a map, it was practically impossible. Zhongju pondered for a moment and said, "The most important thing for us now is to reach the abyss of death. According to my experience, it's better to advance from the land of extreme peril's domain of chill. As the saying goes, fire lends itself to the wind. The difficulty of the land of extreme peril is even greater." Using the wind to fuel the fire? Qinyu asked. Could it be that Senior Zhong means there is wind in the land of extremities, a very strong wind? In Qinyu's opinion, Zhongju wouldn't care about ordinary things. Zhongju nodded and said, "Yes, there is wind, and its power is extremely strong. Actually, it's not only the land of extreme peril's flame region that has that wind, but even the land of extreme peril's domain of chill also has that wind. It's just that the land of extreme peril's domain of chill is full of ice, and that wind doesn't pose much of a threat to us in the beginning." At that moment, Qinyu and Mangon did not pay attention to the true meaning behind Zhongju's words of, "The wind doesn't pose much of a threat to us in the beginning." That wind only posed a small threat at the beginning, but its power was hard to say later. Qinyu looked towards Mangon. "Brother Mangon, what is your opinion?" Mangon laughed and said, "I naturally believe Zhongju's words. Brother Qinyu, which path do you think we should choose? Since both of you have the same opinion, and have chosen to pass through the land of extreme peril's domain of chill, then I will also choose the land of extreme peril's domain of chill," Qinyu said with a smile. Zhongju and Mangon both nodded. Qin Yu's group had a total of 9 people. Qin Yu, Hofei Kuro, Zhongju, change into stone, petrify, Mangon, Yu Liang and Kong Chao, mainly from 3 sides. Meanwhile, the other group had a lot more people, mainly from Hua Yan's side of the Immortal Path, Du Zhongjun's side of the Devil Path, as well as Ao Feng and Fang Tian's side of the Dragon Clan. The 2 groups of people set off one after the other, and there was not much difference in time. Through Snowfish Island's ancient teleportation array, Qin Yu's group directly arrived at Golden Tree Island in the north of the chaotic Astral Ocean, then left Golden Tree Island, and directly rushed towards the hidden Dragon Continent in the north. In the sky above Golden Tree Island, Qin Yu and the rest of the 9 people were currently standing in the sky. Qin Yu, you still don't know how to teleport until now. Sigh, this flying speed is really too slow. Let me bring you and Fei along. Zhongju said with a smile, at the same time reaching out and grabbing Qin Yu and Ho Fei's arms. Qin Yu also did not resist, and said with a smile, Fei is only at the Deshang stage, and I am also only at the late stage of tribulation transition. Not knowing how to teleport is a very normal thing. Sigh, brother Qin Yu, I am curious. Change into stone, who was behind Zhongju, asked. It is not that I am looking down on you, brother, but your cultivation is really a little low. That sword immortal martial uncle of yours, and that Uncle Lan, why did they let you come without worry? Instantly Zhongju Mangon, and the others all looked towards Qin Yu. They had also been very curious about this question. Although Qin Yu was very mysterious, it could not hide the weakness of his low cultivation. Why did Qin Yu's sect let them come without worry? To be honest, this is Uncle Lan's test for me, Qin Yu said honestly. The truth was indeed so. Before Uncle Lan left, he had indeed told Qin Yu that only by entering in I Yang's realm could he possibly know that he had cultivated to a mysterious stage to be able to meet Li Er. Meanwhile, when Mangon and Zhongju heard Qin Yu's words, they had thought that it was just a kind of test from Qin Yu's sect. Truly a mysterious sect, Mangon and Zhongju also secretly said in their hearts. Alright, let's not waste time everyone, let's set off earlier, Qin Yu said with a smile. Immediately after, Zhongju alone brought along Qin Yu and Ho Fei, while Mangon brought along Kuro, and directly executed teleportation, advancing forward at a shocking speed. In a few blinks of an eye, Qin Yu and the others had crossed the hidden Dragon Continent, and arrived at the mysterious northern part of the hidden Dragon Continent. The northern part of the hidden Dragon Continent had millions of miles of ocean, and these millions of miles of ocean were colder the further north they went. At the end of the millions of miles of ocean was a boundless world of ice. The earth was made of ice, and various towering buildings were also formed from ice. Qin Yu's group of 9 people landed on the boundless ice surface. The temperature is really low, Ho Fei muttered. Tsk, this wind is also quite strong. If it was in the hidden Dragon Continent, even a large tree would be blown down. Stepping into the world of ice was like stepping into the land of extreme peril's domain of chill. The land of extreme peril's domain of chill was a world of ice. At the same time, the wind in the land of extreme peril's domain of chill was very strong. Although Qin Yu and the others were currently only at the edge of the land of extreme peril's domain of chill, that wind had already reached a shocking level. This wind is still very small, and will not affect our teleportation. Zhongju smiled and said. However, the further north we go, the greater the power of this wind, and the smaller the volume, the sharper the attack power. The final wind may be like a knife, and when we have advanced 1 billion miles, I reckon that everyone will not even be able to teleport, because at that time, the wind would have already caused the space to be in an unstable state. Qin Yu and the others understood. So, the current gale was only the weakest. Why care so much? Could it be that we will still be obstructed by a small wind? Let's go, don't waste time. Man Qian grabbed Kuro's hand, and then used teleportation to advance. Zhongju also grabbed Qin Yu's and Ho Fei's hands, and also started teleporting. Yu Liang Kong Chao, change into stone transformation, and the others also used their teleportation ability. The speed of teleportation was indeed shockingly fast. In merely a cup of tea's time, everyone already felt the threat of the wind, and it was obvious that everyone had already advanced close to 1,000,000,000 miles. Zhongju frowned and said, "We cannot continue to teleport forward. The power of the wind is already very strong. I estimate that if we advance another 10 million miles, the wind there will be enough to cause the space to vibrate." Everyone nodded. At this time, no one dared to play the hero. Teleporting in an unstable space was akin to suicide. Immediately, the 9 of them began to fly towards the north at top speed. "Not good," Change in Stone exclaimed. "Brother Zong, there doesn't seem to be any energy here to replenish. I didn't notice it when I was teleporting, but I can feel it clearly now." Mangon, Qin Yu and the others also frowned. Obviously, they had also discovered a characteristic of the Land of Extreme Peril's domain of chill. The entire Land of Extreme Peril's domain of chill did not have a trace of heaven and earth spiritual energy, only mysterious ice-cold energy. The mysterious ice-cold qi was only suitable for people with special cultivation methods to absorb. Ordinary people would not be able to absorb it. For example, Qin Yu's stellar transformations cultivation method was extremely special, but it was extremely hot and extremely young. It couldn't absorb the mysterious ice-cold qi at all. The master of the primordial chaos, Yu Liang, frowned as well. "My lord, in the land of extreme peril, the energy in one's body can only be consumed. There's no way to replenish it. No matter how high your power is, if this continues, your power will become weaker and weaker." If there was no way to replenish the energy in one's body, even a level 1 golden immortal strength could be reduced by more than half as one's energy was depleted. "Yu Liang Kongqiao, how many spirit pills do you have that can replenish your body's energy?" Mangon asked. Yu Liang bowed and said, "My lord, the spirit pills on your subordinate's side are already enough for your subordinate to advance for a year." Kong Dao also said, "Although the spirit pills that your subordinate has are not as many as Lord Yu Liang, they can still support 6 or 7 months of consumption." The energy consumed by flying was very little, but no matter how little it was still energy. In the past, they could absorb energy from the outside world to replenish it, but now there was no way to replenish it. They could still support the energy consumed by flying for a day. They could also support it for 2 days, but what about 7 days? 30 days? 100 days? Or even more? The longer the time, the more terrifying it would be. Zhongju smiled slightly. Before he set off, he had long predicted this matter. Moreover, after his previous trip to the land of extreme peril, Zhongju's spatial ring had never been short of spirit pills and elemental spirit stones that could replenish his power. "Yu Liang Kongqiao, here are 2 pieces of high-grade elemental spirit stones. 1 for each of you. I believe it will be enough to support you for a very long time." Mangon was worried in his heart, but he still gave his 2 subordinates a piece of high-grade elemental spirit stone each. Qin Yu and his 2 brothers, however, did not have the slightest bit of worry. With Qin Yu's natural rejuvenation pills, why would they be afraid of having their power depleted? "Senior Zong, all of you should be ready as well. Then let's set off." Qin Yu and the group of people once again advanced forward. This time, the 9 people only relied on flying. The speed of the 9 people's flight was very fast. Among them, Qin Yu and Ho Fei's speed was slightly slower. However, the others were not too anxious, and that was why their speed was slightly slower. This flight lasted for an entire 3 months. The distance that they traveled every day ranged from 100 million kilometers to several tens of millions of kilometers. As they continued to advance, everyone's speed had no choice but to begin to slow down. After 3 months, the 9 people were also not far from the abyss of death. "Big brother, how much longer do you think we will need to reach the abyss of death?" Ho Fei asked Qin Yu with a smile. Qin Yu smiled slightly. "I'm not sure. However, we are probably not far from the abyss of death now. At our current speed, we should be able to reach it in a few days." Qin Yu and Ho Fei belonged to the last 2 of the 9 people. The 2 of them were leisurely chatting. "Be careful." A thunderous roar reverberated through the surroundings, and everyone stopped in their tracks. What's going on? What did Zhongju shout? Qin Yu and Hofei also stopped and looked ahead in confusion. Zhongju's face was somewhat serious. Everyone, if I'm not wrong, we are now about 100 million kilometers away from the abyss of death. However, this last part of the distance is also the most difficult to cross. Last time, Fang Tian and I crossed 95% of the distance. It was at this last part that we gave up. Zhongju looked at the distant sky, his face somewhat ugly. Look carefully at the space in front of you. Be careful, do not rush in recklessly. Hearing Zhongju's serious words, no one present dared to be careless. One by one, they looked ahead carefully. At first glance, it was a quiet scene. Looking carefully again, in the distant space, there were fine cracks in space that were either as long as a person or the size of a fingernail. However, they returned to normal in an instant. If one did not look carefully, they would not be able to see the fine cracks in space. However, no one present dared to belittle those fine cracks in space. No matter how fine it was still a crack in space. If they were not careful, they might lose their lives. The original gale has already condensed to the extreme, and is like a knife. Their power is extremely great, so much so that they can even break open some cracks in space. In this last 100 million kilometers or so of the journey, it belongs to the region where space is chaotic. Regardless of whether it is devil sense or demon sense, they cannot be used normally. Here, we can only rely on ourselves for everything. Everyone must be careful, and even more careful. Once you touch a crack in space, no one can save you. Zhongju said seriously. They had not arrived at Inai Yang's realm, and even the abyss of death had not arrived yet. Merely the last part of the journey in the land of extreme peril's domain of chill had already made everyone present tremble in fear. If they were not careful and a crack in space appeared beside someone, that pitiful person would probably be swallowed and his soul would scatter. That person could be someone else, or it could be them. Chapter 286. Looking at the blade-like wind blowing in front of them, and the occasional space crack that appeared, no one, including Qin Yu, dared to lower their guard. Suddenly, a blade-like wind shot towards Qin Yu and the others. Immediately, the 9 people present each used their own methods. No one dared to underestimate this blade-like wind, because they had all seen this blade-like wind being able to break space. Pooh! A crisp sound, as if a sharp blade had cut through wood. Fresh blood splattered out. Second brother. Shiryan looked worriedly at his younger brother change stone. That blade-like wind was really too fast. Even if everyone dodged, change stone, who was closer to the blade-like wind, was still hit. Half of his entire right arm was cut off. Change stone frowned. It's nothing, just that I need to consume a lot of energy to condense my body. As a loose demon, as long as his yuanying was not extinguished, he could naturally condense his body. It was just that condensing his body required a lot of energy. Change stone, don't condense your right arm for now. Anyway, in this place, the smaller the size, the better. Zhongju said aloud. Senior Zhong, you are more familiar with this place than me. You should lead everyone forward. Qin Yu said with a smile. Along the way, because the map and the method to bring everyone into Inai Yang's realm came from Qin Yu, the commander who usually gave orders was Qin Yu. Zhongju did not decline. Everyone, there are strong and weak blade-like winds. For example, when 2 weak blade-like winds converge, it could instead form a strong blade-like wind. A weak blade-like wind cannot break space, but a strong blade-like wind that converges can. Therefore, everyone should not lower their guard. Zhongju shared his previous experience. Also, even if the blade-like wind cannot break space, its attack power is not far from breaking space. Therefore, it is best that everyone does not touch the blade-like wind. Of course, stay far away from the space crack. Fortunately, the space crack is very small, so its swallowing range is also very small. Its power is also not strong. Unless you touch the space crack, the swallowing power should not be able to swallow you. Zhongju smiled and shared some of the information that he had summarized in the past. Everyone present tried hard to remember it. To sum it up, don't touch the wind blades and don't touch the spatial rifts either. If you run into one, you might lose an arm, or a leg if you run into a blade wind. But if you run into a spatial crack, you will die without a doubt, Zhongju said with a faint smile. Qinyu, Hou Fei, and the others all laughed. They understood what Zhongju meant. Saber winds and spatial cracks were dangerous, but spatial cracks were the most dangerous. Touching a spatial crack meant death. If they were some distance away from the spatial rift, then the small spatial rift's devouring ability would not be able to devour the people present. Alright, let's set off now. However, everyone must remember that every single one of us has to rely on ourselves. Because in this kind of environment, if you are distracted by taking care of others, it is very likely that you will be finished, Zhongju shouted. After that, the group of 9 set off. As expected, the speed of their advance was very slow. Perhaps the speed of these 9 people was very fast for mortals, but in the eyes of these 9 people, the speed of their advance was too slow. They could only advance about 100,000 miles a day. Even Qin Yu, who had reached the Deshang stage, could travel 10 million miles in a day if he wielded the middle-grade immortal sword, and became one with it under normal circumstances. But now it was more than 100 times slower. The main reason was, careful, and even more careful. Everyone did not dare to be careless. After all, wind was formless and colorless. Sometimes it would appear very strange. Moreover, there were times when 2 blade winds were clearly not very powerful, but when they collided, they could converge into a terrifyingly powerful blade wind, even breaking through space. In short, they could not lower their guard at all times. I finally know why Fang Tian and Zhongju did not persevere. Qin Yu bitterly smiled in his heart. Such a high level of concentration. In just one day, one's spirit would be very tired. But we need to do this for 3 whole years. Not good. Just as he was distracted, a blade wind streaked past Qin Yu's abdomen, leaving a 3-inch long wound. However, Qin Yu's life elemental energy quickly healed it. Immediately, Qin Yu did not dare to think about it anymore. Instead, he focused all his attention on moving forward. Although cultivators went into seclusion for a long time, in reality, they themselves felt that it was very short. That was why they did not feel tired. However, for people like Qin Yu and the others to be on tenterhooks and highly concentrated for 3 years, it was even more tiring than 30,000 years of seclusion. Day after day passed, and the long days still had not reached their end. A journey of 10,000 miles in a day, about 100 million miles, would require at least 3 years. Meanwhile, Qin Yu and the others had only spent a year's time. Qin Yu's group of 9 people had a huge difference in their condition. If one were to talk about who was in the best condition, it would undoubtedly be Qin Yu. No matter if it was Mangon, Zhongju, or the others, they were all very strange. Logically speaking, to continuously be highly concentrated like this, continuously wandering between life and death for an entire year, the exhaustion on the mind was simply shocking. However, Qin Yu's entire person was instead in a better condition than when he had just stepped into the land of extreme peril's domain of chill. Outsiders did not know, but Qin Yu knew. This short 1 year had been a great help to his cultivation. In the first month, Qin Yu was able to completely control close to 40% of the spiritual strength within his mind. Following 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, Qin Yu's control over the spiritual strength within his mind became stronger and stronger. At that moment, the spiritual strength was actually completely controlled. The cultivation of the spiritual strength had actually directly broken through the Deshang stage at the moment. He completely controlled it and reached a new realm. Moreover, Qin Yu also discovered one point. When the realm of the spiritual strength reached a new realm, the entire spiritual strength would completely condense and become a physical body. At the same time, the portion of the sun's true core that occupied the planet within his body had also rapidly increased. If this continues, I estimate that within a year, I will be able to completely reach the star stage. Qin Yu was very excited in his heart. Every time Qin Yu's mental strength was exhausted to the extreme, Lu Xing's tears would allow him to recover to the extreme. Every time it was exhausted and recovered, it would allow Qin Yu's control over the spiritual strength to rapidly increase. Because of Lu Xing's tears, in this 1 year, not only did Qin Yu not become exhausted to the extreme, his mental strength had instead become better and better. It was just that outsiders would probably not be able to understand it at all. In the calm world of ice, the group of 9 people was advancing at an extremely fast speed. It was just that the peace of this world of ice was only on the surface. If one were to look carefully, one would be able to see the streaks of wind blades slashing past, and also the occasional appearance of some spatial cracks. The method of advancement of the group of 9 people was also completely different. If one were to talk about whose state was the most elegant and most relaxed, it would be Zhongju and Kuro. Zhongju and Kuro were like catkins fluttering easily. When the wind blades slashed over, those 2 catkins would be blown away by the wind, easily dodging the wind blades. The same movement techniques. Zhongju and Kuro's dodging methods were practically exactly the same. That caused everyone to be unable to help but guess what exactly the relationship between Kuro and Zhongju was. That had previously caused Mangan to ask Zhongju if he knew of Kuro's original body, and Zhongju also said that he did not know. It was just that Kuro was definitely a bird-type divine beast, and it would definitely not be wrong. Of course, just that alone could not say that Zhongju and Kuro were not in danger. They could only easily dodge the wind blades, but they had to be careful towards the spatial cracks. That was because, when the wind blades slashed over, their movement techniques could allow them to easily sweep them away. However, the spatial cracks contained a devouring power, and would instead suck them in. That was why Zhongju and Kuro also had to be careful at all times. Once they felt the devouring power, they would immediately stop that kind of catkins movement technique and dodge. However, compared to the others, Zhongju and Kuro could be considered to be the most relaxed. The person second only to Zhongju and Kuro was Yu Liang. Yu Liang had actually transformed into his original body, a faintly discernible little mouse, the legendary high-level divine beast. Heavenly Mouse. The Heavenly Mouse's degree of agility had simply reached a shocking level. He could extremely nimbly dodge before danger arrived, and his Heavenly Mouse tunneling movement technique was extremely shocking. Meanwhile, behind Yu Liang were Kong Chao and Mangan. Kong Chao's original body was a 9-headed snake, and he had actually transformed into a half-human, half-snake appearance. All 9 snake heads were out, and the 9 snake heads were looking in all directions. Kong Chao would be able to discover any danger at any location. Mangan was the opposite. Although he only had a pair of eyes, that pair of purple pupils was able to clearly see many dangers early on. It was just that Kong Chao and Mangan both needed to focus their attention at all times, and were extremely tired. Behind Kong Chao and Mangan was Ho Fei. Countless streams of water floated around Ho Fei's body. Wherever those streams of water covered, Ho Fei would discover any danger one step ahead of time. At the same time, that pair of fiery eyes would also constantly pay attention to everything. The fiery-eyed water ape, Ho Fei, although he had water covering his body, and fiery eyes observing, his abilities were comparatively weaker. The area where the streams of water covered was not large. Even if he could sense the wind from the blades, his reaction time was too little. That was why Ho Fei had to be ranked behind Kong Chao and Mangan. Although Kuro's martial power was similarly weak, the Catkins movement technique only drifted along with the wind, and did not have a high requirement for martial power. Ranked last were Change into Stone, and Qin Yu. That was because the bodies of those 3 people were always dripping with blood. First in terms of ease, Zhongju and Kuro. Second Yu Liang. Third Kong Chao and Mangan. Fourth Ho Fei. Fifth, Change into Stone and Qin Yu. Why were the bodies of Qin Yu and the other 2 always dripping with blood? That was because the 3 of them were frequently injured by the wind from the blades. Although the others were in danger, at least they did not suffer any injuries. The original bodies of Change into Stone and Change into Stone were petrified beasts. Although they also had some magical abilities, They did not have any special methods to avoid the dangers of the wind from the blades, and were naturally at a disadvantage. However, they relied on their high martial power and quick reactions to preserve their little lives. What about Qinyu? In reality, among those 9 people, Qinyu was the most dazzling at that moment, in terms of imposing manner. That was because Qinyu had displayed the stellar domain. Currently, the energy within Qinyu's body was the energy of the true sunfire. Qinyu had actually formed a gigantic nebula-like domain with Qinyu as its center within that world of cold ice. Stellar domain. Because the current power of the stars was a blazing golden color, Qinyu's entire person was like a god of war bathed in golden light. It was just that this god of war's body was frequently dripping with fresh blood. Once the stellar domain was displayed, Qinyu was able to control everything within that range. Qinyu was able to detect in advance if the wind from the blades attacked, and whether there were spatial cracks formed. The function of this stellar domain was about the same as Hefei's water flow spreading. However, the stellar domain was only so big, and the speed of the wind from the blades was too fast. Qinyu was often unable to dodge in time, and could only try his best to avoid being injured in his vitals. That was why Qinyu was frequently dripping with blood. However, in the blink of an eye, Qinyu's wounds would disappear without a trace. Although the surface of my body is dripping with blood, in reality, there is not a single scar on my body. Qinyu felt helpless in his heart. From the surface, I seem to be in quite a bad state. In reality, I should be the most relaxed one. Who was the most relaxed? The real situation was indeed Qinyu. Qinyu himself was very clear that his stellar domain could detect some dangers. Furthermore, he did not need to desperately dodge like the others. He only needed to avoid being injured in his vitals. With Qinyu's speed, he was still able to avoid being injured in his vitals. In reality, if Qinyu wanted to avoid being injured in his entire body, it would be somewhat difficult even with his strength. However, even if he was injured by the wind from the blades, the life elemental energy in Qinyu's body would instantly recover. Even now, Qinyu's condition was still at his peak state. He was not as tired as the others. However, for the sake of Anyang's realm, no one gave up. The closer they got to the abyss of death, the stronger the wind from the blades, and the frequency of spatial cracks appearing increased. And the people who had fresh blood on their bodies were not only changed into stone in Qinyu. At this moment, Qinyu and the others were completely unaware. They were not the only ones who were suffering from this. The troops of the dragon race, loose devils and loose immortals were also suffering from this. Because Feng Tian had experience, he knew that the land of extreme peril's domain of flame was even more dangerous than the land of extreme peril's domain of chill. That was why they had also chosen this place. Because the days of departure were about the same, the speed of their advance was also about the same. That was why the 2 groups of troops were only several tens of thousands of kilometers apart from the start to the end. However, the 2 groups of troops had actually never met, which was really strange. Advance continued to advance. The group of 9 people, no one spoke. Everyone focused their attention on advancing. The density of the wind from the blades in the sky had clearly increased by quite a bit. Even Zhongju and Kuro were not relaxed enough. Meanwhile, Mangon's purple pupils were instead carefully looking in all directions. Suddenly, Mangon's purple pupils shone brightly, shooting out several tens of meters of purple light, directly shooting into the distance. And in that direction, there was currently a group of figures who were similarly advancing with great difficulty. Du Zhongjun. Mangon suddenly let out an explosive shout. That sudden loud shout not only gave Qinyu and the others a shock, even Ao Feng, Hua Yin, and the other people in the distance were also greatly shocked. It's Mangon. Du Zhongjun turned his head to look, and his expression immediately changed greatly. Why are they here? Hua Yin, Ao Feng, and the others had faces of disbelief. Ah, the distracted Lady Lian, you actually touched a spatial crack that had suddenly appeared. Only a miserable scream was heard, and Lady Lianyu was actually swallowed by the spatial crack. With just a loud shout, more than half of the people present were injured because of the distraction. while Ao Feng's group also lost their first person because of that loud shout. Du Zhongjun, let's see where you can escape this time. Mangon's anger soared to the heavens. The surface of his body flashed with light, and a purple-colored battle armor floated on the surface of his body, flashing with a dazzling purple light. The powerful aura seemed to have even caused the surrounding space to stagnate. Chapter 287. In the most dangerous area of the Land of Extreme Peril's domain of chill, saber winds and spatial rifts would occasionally appear. However, at this moment, Ao Feng's group and Qin Yu's group both noticed each other's presence. For a moment, the atmosphere became tense. Mangon, who had once been deceived by Du Zhongjun, was even angrier and wanted to take action. Wait! A loud shout rang out. Ao Feng's body also flickered with light, and a set of golden battle armor appeared. That imposing manner was not much worse than Mangon's. At the same time, Fang Tian and Hua Yin stood behind Ao Feng. Those three people looked towards Mangon at the same time. Mangon looked coldly at Ao Feng. Ao Feng, what do you mean by this? Du Zhongjun has tricked and deceived me. Now that I want to punish him, are you going to stop me? Ao Feng naturally knew Mangon's temper. Once the purple-eyed bull demon king clan went berserk, they were extremely terrifying. No, I'm not stopping you. I have something very important to ask you, Ao Feng said solemnly. Right now, nothing is more important than dealing with Du Zhongjun. Stand aside for now. If there's anything else, wait until my battle with Du Zhongjun is over. Mangon's baleful aura soared to the heavens. Seeing that Ao Feng did not back down in the slightest, Mangon gave a cold snort and said, "What's the matter? Could it be that you want to oppose me?" As he spoke, the killing intent on Mangon's body also pressed towards Ao Feng. Although he was secretly cursing Mad Bull in his heart, Ao Feng's face was full of smiles. No, it's not that I want to go against Brother Mangon. But there is a matter that I will not be able to feel at ease if I do not ask. Our dragon clan, as well as the loose immortals and loose devils, the three parties, exhausted countless efforts before we finally found out about the map that leads to Inai Yang's realm. But why are you guys here? Hua Yin also said seriously. Brother Man Qian, I am also very curious about this matter. You don't seem to have the heaven-sundering diagram. So how do you know where Inai Yang's realm is? I don't think any of us will believe you if you tell us that you're just wandering around the abyss of death. Why would he wander to a place where spatial cracks often appeared? The two groups of people stopped. In the beginning, both parties were traveling at top speed, so they had to be extremely careful of the saber winds and spatial rifts. Now that he was standing still, it was much easier for him to guard against the wind blades and spatial cracks. Most of the people present were focused on the other side. A map leading to Inai Yang's realm? Haha. Do you think that only you guys have it, and we don't? Mangon laughed proudly. Hua Yin, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, and Fang Tian looked at each other and secretly communicated with each other. But there was no conclusion. What's the use of merely having the map leading to Inai Yang's realm? If you don't have the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, even if you reach the entrance of Inai Yang's realm, you will still be unable to enter. Behind Hua Yin, Reverend Qi Yang's voice rang out, containing a trace of disdain. At this time, Qin Yu was still smiling. He didn't have any reaction. Brother Qin Yu, do you want to tell them that you possess the map of Inai Yang's realm? Mangon's voice transmitted to Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu pondered for a moment. In fact, at this moment Hua Yin, Du Zhongjun, and the others were already looking at Qin Yu and his two brothers in confusion. In the eyes of those emissaries from the higher realms, the martial powers of Qin Yu and his two brothers were too low. With such low martial powers, Mangon and Zhongju still brought them over. There must definitely be a special reason. Trying to cover it up makes it more conspicuous. Not telling them will instead make them constantly vigilant. If I tell them directly, they will instead think that I obtained the map bestowed by the sect's elders, and won't pay too much attention to me. Qin Yu made a decision in his heart in an instant. Brother Mangon, there is no need to hide. Just tell them the truth. Qin Yu directly said in a clear voice. When Qin Yu's voice rang out, Ao Feng, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun Feng Tian, and the others all looked at Qin Yu in surprise. Man Gong's eyes brightened, and he laughed loudly. You have guts. As expected of my Man Gong's brother. After that, Man Gong looked towards Ao Feng, Hua Yan and the others. To tell you the truth, this map leading to Nai Yang's realm came from brother Qin Yu. Impossible. Ao Feng was the first to speak out. 3 pieces of Sundering the Heavens diagrams. In the beginning, one was obtained by Qin Yu. However, our Dragon Clan's map had always been in the hands of our Dragon Clan. The map of Nai Yang's realm can only be obtained by gathering all 3 pieces of Sundering the Heavens diagrams. How did you all obtain it? Senior Ao Feng, nothing is absolute. Qin Yu said with a smile. Could it be that Senior believes that only the Sundering the Heavens diagrams contain the map leading to Nai Yang's realm? When Ao Feng, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun Feng Tian, and the others heard what Qin Yu said, their hearts instantly brightened, and they all thought of a possibility. Other than the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, there were other treasures that contained the map leading to Nai Yang's realm. Facing the bewildered gazes of Ao Feng and the others, Qin Yu only had a slight smile on his face. Little brother Qin Yu, where is your martial uncle Lan Feng? And that Uncle Lan? Ao Feng suddenly asked. In his heart, Ao Feng still had some doubts about Lan Feng. As for that even more powerful Lan Feng's martial brother, the mysterious Uncle Lan, Ao Feng's heart was even more bewildered. Qin Yu smiled and said, Martial Uncle and Uncle Lan did not come this time. Only us 3 brothers came. Ao Feng, Hua Yan Du Zhongjun, and the others looked at each other. In their hearts, they had already guessed that this map of Qin Yu's was most likely from his sex's martial uncle. However, a Zionist who had not even reached the heavenly immortal realm actually wanted to step into Nai Yang's realm. Was this not courting death? Involuntarily, the several of them looked at Qin Yu with gazes filled with sympathy. Qin Yu continued to smile. You all can slowly fight. Those upper realms big shots spent so much effort to break through the barrier between the 2 realms to let you all come over. Let's see you all casually take out top-grade immortal artifacts. An ordinary treasure in Nai Yang's realm would definitely not be worth the big shots behind you all so desperately. Presumably, you all are here for some extremely important treasure. In Qin Yu's heart, however, there was a kind of feeling of transcendence. In his mind, Li Er suddenly appeared. Li Er's sweet smile. The days when he was together with her were so fleeting and enjoyable. Li Er's every smile and frown were so moving. No matter if it was Li Er or himself, they both belonged to the category of being extremely introverted in the aspect of emotions. However, after being together for a long time, the 2 of them knew each other and loved each other. If you cannot even pass through Nai Yang's realm, then don't even think about going to find Li Er. The words Uncle Lan said before he left were still in Qin Yu's mind. What stage do you need to cultivate to before you can go find Li Er? Wait until you reach Nai Yang's realm, then you will know. In the deepest part of Nai Yang's realm, when you reach there, you will know what stage you need to reach before you can go find Li Er. Qin Yu remembered every word Uncle Lan said at that time very clearly. Only, Qin Yu firmly remembered all of this in his heart, and did not dare to relax for even a moment. I wonder if the treasure you all are after is the same as the one I'm after. If it's not the same, I might not go and fight with you all. I will pretend to be an ordinary cultivator in front of you all. If the treasure you all are after is exactly the same as the one I'm after, then at that time, you can't blame me for being heartless. Qin Yu looked at the 4 great emissaries, and his eyes were completely calm. No one knew that the sword immortal puppet that Qin Yu kept in his body had already been filled with 9 pieces of top-grade elemental holy, or by Qin Yu at that moment. The current sword immortal puppet was the strongest sword immortal puppet. Qin Yu was now quietly following behind these experts. If the other party's goal was different from his, he would be very docile. However, if everyone's goal was the same, then Qin Yu's true fangs would be revealed. And a level 9 golden immortal sword immortal would display his strongest attack power. Brother Qin Yu, you all first step back a little. Man Gong suddenly spoke out. Qinyu, Hou Fei, Kuro, Zhongju, and Yu Liang all began to step back one by one. Aofeng, now that you also know the answer to the question you want to ask, you should also step back to one side. Right now, I must properly settle the score with this Du Zhongjun. No one has ever dared to make fun of me like this, but he, Du Zhongjun, dares. I want to let him know. Purple-eyed Bull Demon King cannot be made fun of and cannot be humiliated. Man Gon's voice was cold, but the light in his purple eyes was instead flourishing greatly. A low and deep moan began to slowly sound out in the surroundings. Brother Man Gon, that. Aofeng still wanted to say more, but Man Gon suddenly glared at Aofeng, and Aofeng's words were immediately stuck in his throat. Man Gon, do not think that you are the purple-eyed Bull Demon King. Just because you are a super divine beast, you are so amazing, to think that you can kill me just because you want to. Do not forget, I am an elite disciple of the Blood Devil Mojo, and I am also an emissary of the Devil Realm. If you want to make a move, then come. Du Zhongjun was also furious. A set of blood-red battle armor also appeared on Du Zhongjun's body. Finest grade devil equipment. The weapons and battle armors of the various emissaries of the upper realms were all of the best quality, but those battle armors and so on had long been bound by their blood. Once they were used, they would consume a lot of energy. Because the land of extreme peril's domain of chill could not replenish energy, that was why the emissaries of the upper realms had all tried their best to avoid the wind blades earlier. Meanwhile, at that moment, some of the wind blades hacked onto those battle armors, but were completely unable to harm them in the slightest. The defense of finest grade immortal equipment, demon equipment, devil equipment, was not just strong. Blood Devil Mojo? Bullshit. Man Gon gave a cold shout, and his entire person suddenly soared into the sky with a whoosh sound. At the same time, he turned into a black ray of light and descended from the sky, as if a black flood dragon was charging downwards. Even the space produced ripples that spread out in all directions. That black flood dragon fiercely smashed towards the blood-red Du Zhongjun below. No matter how strong Du Zhongjun was, when faced with this attack that contained Man Gon's hatred, he also immediately dodged. Only a loud sound could be heard. After that, a series of cracking sounds could be heard. This ice that was unknown how many tens of thousands of meters deep actually split open, and several tens of huge deep trenches appeared. Meanwhile, at that moment, Man Gon's two hands were holding onto an extremely large black wolf tooth club. The sharp awl on the wolf tooth club looked sinister and terrifying. Escape. I want to see where you can escape to? Man Gon's wild and loud laughter rang out. However, his entire person turned into numerous afterimages, and another blood-red afterimage also collided with him. Only ear-splitting sounds of collision could be heard continuously, and at the same time, the ice ground continuously split open. In just a blink of an eye, the two people had exchanged blows at least 100 times. The two people separated. Man Gon's imposing manner was like a rainbow. His right hand grabbed onto the hilt of the wolf tooth club, and the baleful aura on his body became even more fierce. Meanwhile, Du Zhongjun's complexion was pale, and fresh blood slowly seeped out from the corners of his mouth. It was obvious that he had already suffered serious injuries that were not light. Man Gon, you must not rely on your high martial power, and act as if you are very amazing. Remember, you must definitely not force me into a corner. This time, I have come here bearing the heavy responsibility of Lord Blood Devil Emperor. Although I do not wish to use that thing now, if you really want my life, then you cannot blame me for going all out. Du Zhongjun's eyes flashed with a cold light, staring at Man Gon in front of him. Meanwhile, a vermilion-colored medicinal pill had already appeared in Du Zhongjun's right hand, and waves of blood-red light continuously circulated. Blood Spirit Grass. Aofeng and Hua Yin could not help but cry out in surprise. Man Gon's expression also changed. Meanwhile, Feng Tian, Zhongju, Qinyu and the other mortal realm people were very clear in their hearts that that vermilion-colored medicinal pill should be an extremely impressive medicinal pill, and should have a very great reputation in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Man Gon was silent for a moment, and then sneered and said, Good. If you consume the blood spirit grass, your power will indeed surpass mine. However, I am confident that I can endure the duration of the blood spirit grass's medicinal effect. However, even if I kill you, I believe that I will also be seriously injured. This time, I will spare you. Let's see who will obtain that treasure within Enai Yang's realm. Du Zhongjun secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He had the blood spirit grass, but he believed that Mangon would also have a trump card. He had only felt Mangon's killing intent earlier, and had no choice but to use it to threaten Mangon. As expected, Mangon did not dare to be seriously injured under such an important situation. Isn't this good? Everyone should now work together as one. When we reach Enai Yang's realm, everyone can then display their own abilities. Whoever obtains that treasure will have their own abilities. Now we should hurry up and set off. Ao Feng said with a smile. Hua Yin and Du Zhongjun also led their own troops and followed. Let us set off as well. Qin Yu said with a smile. Mangon, Zhongju and the others also set off at the same time. At that moment, the two groups of people had already converged into one. Although there was a barrier between the two groups of people, no one took action at that time. I am only curious about one thing. Even if you all reach the entrance of Enai Yang's realm, how will you enter? Ao Feng suddenly turned around to look at Mangon, Qin Yu and the others. Mangon sneered and said, We naturally have our own methods. Rest assured, we will not go and snatch your Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Could it be because of this Qin Yu again? Du Zhongjun looked towards Qin Yu. Hua Yin, Ao Feng, Fang Tian, and the others also looked towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu smiled and nodded, saying, I believe that Senior also knows that to enter Enai Yang's realm, one must rely on the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, Sundering the Heavens sword energy. Right. Du Zhongjun, Hua Yin and the others all nodded. Qin Yu continued. Then have you all ever thought about why my junior martial uncle Lan Feng knows the Sundering the Heavens sword arts? That is all I have to say. Those who can understand will understand, and those who do not will just forget about it. After Qin Yu finished speaking, he did not say anything more, and instead continued to follow Ho Fei and the others forward. Lan Feng knows Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's Sundering the Heavens sword arts, and the Sundering the Heavens diagram Sundering the Heavens sword energy. Ao Feng, Hua Yin and the others all began to make random guesses in their hearts. Meanwhile Qin Yu, who was quietly hurrying along at the side, had a slight smile on his face. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.